What truly matters is not which party controls our government, but whether our government is controlled by the people. For too long, a small group in our nation's capital has reaped the rewards of government, while the people have borne the cost. The establishment protected itself, but not the citizens of our country. That all changes, starting right here and right now.
Ladies and gentlemen, please stand to your feet. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, please stand to your feet and greet the son of President Donald J. Trump, the man who runs the Trump Organization, my good friend and now yours. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Eric Trump. Let's hear it for him, Tulsa. Yes. One more time, ladies and gentlemen, let's hear it for Eric Trump in the house.
This is incredible, guys. So last time I was here, none of this was built, right? And as a guy who knows a lot about real estate, the fact that you literally used the last couple square foot, that's incredible.
That's impressive.
Clay's like, I really maximized the square footage in the building. No crap, you maximized the square footage. You literally had the eve of the building used. Good for you, man. Guys, it's great to be here. It's great to be in Oklahoma. It's great to be around people who love God and love America. And love our Second Amendment. And love Clay. Is he not the greatest? Guys, it's awesome to be here. And by the way, last but not least, where's Vanessa?
Where's my wife?
Vanessa's a real boss in here, and make no mistake, all right? So
she on her way? Vanessa, is she out there somewhere?
We
she
love
rumbling,
Vanessa.
Bumbling and stumbling. She's on her way. She's on her way. She's probably putting out some fire. Here she
Give
is.
Vanessa a big round of applause. She has to put up with this guy.
All right. Well, you guys can grab a seat, and we're going to have a conversation. And Eric, so a couple things. As I've gotten to know you the last couple years, I remember one of the first things I asked you, I said, hey, what time do you wake up? Because I feel like you and I have a very similar schedule, and we start talking, and you were telling me about your normal routine. And these are all entrepreneurs here, people that own a business. They want to run a business. They're wanting to do that thing. So talk about just what time was your dad waking up? What time are you waking up? Just walk us through. How do you do the Trump day?
I've gotten worse and worse. I wake up typically about 5, a little bit earlier. You know, I'm typically out of our house by 5:45, go over to the gym, and then go to the gym, come back, see my kids off for school. I have a little 8-year-old. He's a real wise ass. He's a lot like, would you call that the Trump gene? You know. And my father-in-law, Laura's dad. I'm sure everybody here knows Laura, right? She's doing a great job. her show on Fox is killing it right now. But her dad makes my dad, in terms of stubbornness, look like a soft potato. I mean, so between Laura's dad, so I've got this little great son, Luke. We've got a beautiful little daughter, Carolina. So I see them off to school, and they go to work and work very hard, and we run very, very hard. And the older I get, the less I sleep. And so I'm one of those kind of 4.5-hour guys, a night. Other than last night, I have to say I slept more in Tulsa. We went out last night. We went to Fleming's. Clay fed me a beautiful steak, a lot of cheesecake. And I slept my butt off last night, which was like the first time in years. So it's thanks, Oklahoma. I appreciate it.
Now, one of the things I kept running into is at the Reawaken events, people would say, what exactly does Eric do? Is he the hand model for the organization? Is he the model? Is he the brain? What does he do? Is he the hype man? What is his title? And I said, well, Eric runs the Trump organization. And they go, really? I didn't know he did. So can you maybe share what your role is and how many folks are approximately on your team, just the size and scope of what you do?
So we've got 10,000 to 12,000 people around the world, a lot of hospitality assets all over the U.S. Internationally, I'm building 26 jobs, pretty much every corner of the world right now. We have 6 in the Middle East. We've got 9 in India. We've got a bunch of stuff, obviously, that we're doing here. Just finished a big property in Scotland, another big property in Scotland. We're developing a bunch of them. And where did that woo-woo come from? Is somebody Scottish in here? That was really impressive. I like that. So we're doing stuff all over the place, obviously focused on the best hotels in the world, the best golf courses in the world, commercial buildings, residential buildings, retail, hospitality. We've got a lot of properties like Mar-a-Lago, kind of, large estates. And then more recently, we've really gotten into the crypto world. So we became the most debanked. Does anybody like crypto in here? I love that. The girl in blue right there, her shoe, that was the first hand that went up. So I love it. I'm so excited about Bitcoin too. So we just founded a great company called American Bitcoin. We went public on the NASDAQ last week. We're one of the largest miners, Bitcoin miners in the country. We're also a treasury strategy. So, it's really weird. I've told Clay this. Like, I was a hard asset guy my entire life. And all of a sudden, I started getting letters as soon as my father put on that beautiful Make America Great Again hat, the one right there that, that's being worn by that amazing woman. And all of a sudden, we started getting these letters saying, congratulations, Capital One. Does anybody bank with Capital One? No woo, like I know woo.
No
like,
for Capital One.
No. So Capital One was the first one that sent me a letter saying, we had 300 accounts, Trump organization with Capital One. They debanked the hell out of us all because, And so, and then, by the way, Chase was right after, and Bank of America was right after, and we had never done a damn thing wrong other than the fact that we dared to step on that stage and use our voices, and all of a sudden we started getting canceled by everybody, and we fell into this crazy world called cryptocurrency, and we realized that there isn't a single thing that can't be done better, cheaper, faster, more transparently. And honestly, it'd be the greatest goal of my life to put the big banks out of business. By really pushing the hell out of blockchain. And so I'm the biggest Bitcoin person, but I really do believe that, crypto is growing faster than the internet right now. And so as a company, we really embraced it. We embraced it because we didn't have a damn choice. I never, again, thought I'd be in this world. But we embraced it because we were kind of left with no other choices. We got deplatformed, and I think it will go down as one of the big mistakes banks have made in this country. So I'm really proud of it.
To-do lists. I want to talk about this. One of the things that I'm so impressed with is when you say, Clay, I'll see you in Oregon. You are in Oregon. And you say, Clay, I'll see you in Pennsylvania. And in Pennsylvania, there was a personal event you had to deal with. I think it was a funeral maybe or something you were involved in. And so you actually rented a car and drove to the event. And your yes is your yes and your no is your no. And a big part of that is you're a very organized guy. To build an organization, you're very organized. Can you talk about the importance for every entrepreneur here of, on a very basic fundamental level, of having a calendar and a to-do list that you are on top of? Can you talk about that? Because you have a lot going on, but you stay on top of it.
Yeah, by the way, talking about Oregon, Secret Service, and by the way, the greatest men and women in the world are law enforcement, Secret Service guys. And by the way, Tulsa police, I've never seen a more jacked police department in my life. Like, these guys are incredible. I gotta do whatever they're doing, honestly. It's like, I look like a shrimp at 6'5", 215. I look like a shrimp, right? But anyway, the point of my story getting into law enforcement is they would not have been thrilled with Portland. So Clay calls me 2 days before. He's like, we have Antifa, and Antifa wants to overrun the rally. I totally understand if you don't want to make it. but I just want to call you in advance and like give you the out. I go, Clay, I told you I was going to be in Portland. Like we're going to be in Portland. They're leaving those like little stars, those little stars that blow out your tires. They're leaving them under everybody's tires. They're trying to raid the venue, and we went out there. We had 3,000-4,000 people.
That was a big one. I think we actually had about 6 for that one.
I mean, we gave everybody in Oregon like a voice again. It was amazing. The amount of conservatives that came out in arguably the most blue state. It was amazing. And so no, if you say you're going to be somewhere, you be somewhere. I think I did. How many events did we do together total? I think
24 events, and then we also did the events with Sheridan Church with Pastor. I think 26 total things.
Something.
I think.
And by the way, he was a big part of the win. Make no mistake about it, right? I was saying last night at dinner, right? I know we're totally going off topic, and then I'll get back to calendars. This is what Trump always calls the weave, right? But
it's the weave. It's a move.
You had a lot of people that just kind of clung to an apparatus and just want to be part of the apparatus and want to fly around and live a beautiful life and see something and be seen. And then you had people who were actually the doers. I'd put Charlie Kirk in the people who were just the doers, right? I would put this man and Vanessa in the category of the absolute doers. So the events that he had all over the country, the thousands of people that showed up, the heart and soul. And by the way, he didn't do it for personal gain. Trust me, he didn't do it for personal gain. He did it. He got the exact opposite, no different than our family. He got the exact opposite of personal gain from this whole experience. But he was a big part of helping us of us win, 2024. And an amazing, amazing guy. So, listen, I believe in the power of one thing, a list. I start every day with a list. I have a running list. I keep one on my phone, and I keep a handwritten one. And I go through the list. And listen, I think for any serial kind of entrepreneur or anybody that's running a big company, you're not going to get through your list. It's just a reality. There's every single day I'm pissed off that I left something behind, that I wasn't able to accomplish something. And, I think it's like the biggest stressor in our lives, right? Everybody gets dragged in a million different directions. There's always more to do. No matter what, you're just not getting through your list. And frankly, if you're getting through your list, there's probably something wrong because your list probably isn't long enough. And so I do that. I prioritize the things that matter the most. Typically, you start off with a list, and then I create almost a list on the side of the list, which are, okay, how do you create 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? And then as you check those things off, it's honestly, it's rewarding. At the end of the day, a lot of times you'll look down and say, listen, I got a lot accomplished, albeit it might not actually feel like you got anything accomplished in a relative standpoint. The other thing that I'd actually encourage everybody to try doing is trying to do a reverse list, which is instead of writing down all the things that you need to do, write down the things that you actually got accomplished. And it's a pretty powerful thing because all of a sudden when you start seeing the items that were accomplished versus seeing the items that you need to do, I think it's actually like a great motivator. So sometimes I'll have the list that you have and then the list that you have accomplished with little lines through it, and it's just a good psychological tool to how to wire your brain.
Energy. I want to talk about energy for a second. Energy. When I first went out to lunch with you, and I'm sitting down, I pull in, and your valet guy, he greets me. Great energy, great enthusiasm. This was at Jupiter. Great energy, and you knew his name, and he knew your name, and I thought, perhaps there's only one employee at this place. That's how that works. And then we sit down at the restaurant, and the waitress, she knew your name, you knew her name, and I kept seeing a pattern of two things, is that every single person I interacted with had great energy, and every single person had massive respect for you, and you had respect for them. And I don't know how to scale that out. We talk a lot about culture. Culture is that which you allow to grow. Can you talk about energy? When you hire people, this valet guy had been with you, I think, over a decade. I mean, it's unbelievable. What is your process for finding these people with great energy?
Well, I think a lot of it comes down to treating people well, right? It's just that simple. And you elevate within our company. We really do a great job not hiring from outside and do a really great job hiring from inside. And I know that sounds crazy, right? Like, I would much rather take the 27-year-old kid who is full of life and energy, who started as a busboy, and then became, a waiter and became dining room manager. I'd much rather take that person and promote them to head of, food and beverage at one of our big hotels. They go out and find some washed-up person that's worked at 15 different hotels who didn't grow up within the company. I'm telling you, they'll win every single time. And by the way, it also sets the expectation within an organization that if you actually work your butt off, you're going to grow, right? You know how insulting it is to that person where they're working, and a new face comes in. There's no allegiance to the company. They weren't there when we were getting hundreds of subpoenas for no damn reason. They hadn't put in the late nights, but yet they have to acclimate, and no, like it doesn't. So we'll take youth and green with drive and street smart and work ethic over, the BS resume, which 90% of people are putting into ChatGPT anyway, right? So they're all kind of full of what. And so we have, I'll give you a great story. We have a guy named Brian Boudreau in our company. He runs Trump International Las Vegas. Brian was literally a guy who used to drive me to school as a kid, right? He's been with my father for 40 years. I grew up with Brian. Like, he'd buy me Italian ices for 50 cents when I was a kid. And security guy, big guy, tough. He was from the Bronx, no college education. I'm actually not even sure if Brian graduated high school. And we started building Trump Las Vegas. And so we got the piece of land, and we needed somebody to go tour the architects. Brian goes, I'll tour the architects. Puts up his hand. Okay, Brian, go take them out there, show them a piece of land, make sure that they have a great time, make sure they get to work. Sure enough, a couple weeks later, trying to get financing for the building. Well, I know the architects. I obviously know the piece of property. I'll take the bankers out there. I'll show them a piece of land, what we're trying to do, sure enough, always had, okay, we have to get a construction company. I'll interview all the construction companies. I'll get all their bids. I'll bring them back. I'll make sure they're coordinating with the architects and the engineers. Sure enough, Brian's building Trump International Las Vegas. I mean, this is a $1 billion project on the Strip. It's 1,282 rooms, massive building. And so sure enough, we get the building done. He builds the building ahead of time, right, ahead of schedule, under budget, amazing. I mean, worked his butt off. And we go out, we violate the cardinal rule. We went out and we got somebody, I'll never forget this guy. He was from the Four Seasons. This guy walks in with a little pocket square and, very PC, very buttoned up, totally full of, what. And within 6 months, it just wasn't working. He didn't fit the culture of the company. He didn't, this is a guy who wouldn't pick up his phone at, 4 o'clock on a Friday. It's just, already been checked out. Guess who had his hand up? Brian, right? And what was Brian's comment? He goes, I don't know a damn thing about running a hotel, but I'll figure it out. Like, I'll figure it out. The guy's been running the hotel ever since. And so, I opened the doors. I opened the doors to that project in 2008. I spent a long time building it. And Brian's been there every day since. So forget about the Ivy League nonsense. Forget about, most of the Ivy League guys are coming out of school and totally indoctrinated right now anyway. And so, focus on the people who have street smarts, who have tremendous work ethic, who have been loyal to the core, and elevate those people and make them better and instill confidence. And I'm telling you, you'll get a better product.
Now, I need my wife for the next question here. This is a question. I'm excited about this one. So we're out in Scotland, and you treated us to a trip to Scotland. I appreciate that. And we're there, and we're looking out over we're staying at the Lighthouse, which is the most incredible hotel room in the world. Our view is the ocean, and I'm going, wow, this is an incredible place. Vanessa, can you go real quick? And all of the staff, I'm trying to learn to imitate these guys. Like, hello, Mr. Clark, how you doing? How you doing? Good, Mr. Clark. And I'm like, I like the way you guys, all you Scottish guys talk. I like that. But you guys they're all nice. And I'm trying to find an employee that's not electric. But all of them are awesome energy. They're all the kind, everybody. Could you describe the level of customer service? Because it was like we felt like we were not appreciative enough of these people. They were great.
They were amazing. And it was very clear that not only were they amazing, but it was it was something that people aspired to in that whole region, was to work for the Trump property. Like it was a draw in Scotland itself to be able to work at a Trump property, and the employees were so grateful. I mean, Jim, who yeah, and then Frank, who took us around all on the golf cart, but they praised you so much and what you have done for them and their families and their way of life, that not only, like I said, was it where we stayed, but it affected the whole region. Because we went out, we wanted to see what the little towns were like, and it was like a beacon on a hill compared to everything. And Scotland is beautiful, but you just raised their whole standard for everyone who worked there, so that people in neighboring towns were coming just to work for your organization. It was impressive.
I want to ask you this. How is it that the team in Scotland, this is a waitress who told me she was on like a 3-year waiting list trying to get the job as a waitress. And she went on and on about how much she loved the job. And Jim went on and on about how much. How are you managing, how many properties is there? Is there more than 2? How many properties are you managing?
Trump org around the world?
Yeah, more than 2?
Yeah, slightly more than 2.
More than 3. There's many of them. Like either Scotland or Ireland, Florida, California. How are you doing that and then holding people accountable to that standard where they actually want to be there? How are you doing that?
So Trump Turnberry, it's the best hotel in Scotland by far. It's any golfers in here? So right now we're you're not a golfer, right? Not a, love golf. We're number 3 in the world right now. Golf Digest. I mean, the property's amazing. But when we went in there, it was a sick puppy, right? You had a Middle Eastern group that owned the hotel before that. They didn't know the difference between, and there's no disrespect to them, but they didn't know the difference between a tee and a fairway and a bunker and a green. They knew nothing about the game of golf, and yet they owned one of the great golf assets in the world. You know, home to 4 Open champions, championships, and they came in there no different than the group before them. The group before them with all these lofty aspirations. Hey, we're going to build the greatest thing. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. And then guess what? They never did any of it. You know, we came in there, and I remember grabbing all the employees and sitting them down, and I said, guys, we're going to make this into the best hotel in the world. You know, you give me 18 months, I'm going to make this into the best hotel in the world. And, you know, about 3 days later, you know, the property is being stripped of the steel and concrete, and we rebuilt it, and we made it the best in the world. And so every single time we said we were going to do something, we actually did it. And that empowered the employees. They got behind the mission. And second of all, we're not Marriott, and that's no disrespect to that company. They've built an amazing organization, but you've got all these kind of, you know, asset-light, you know, kind of, you know, management-heavy companies, bureaucratic, run by, you know, public companies. You know, their employees are numbers to them. Like the average tenure of an employee of those companies is like 2 years, right? It's nothing. If you haven't been in the Trump organization for 25 years, you're like a little baby. It's like once I always say, if you make it the first year with us, you're with us for life. But it's because our employees aren't numbers. You know, our employees are like heart and soul. Like I care. I know their kids. I know their spouses. I know if they like pets. I know if they have dogs. I know everything about these people, and they've been with us through that journey, and we love them, and we take great care of them. And I've spoken at their funerals. I've conducted their weddings. Literally, I've married. I can't tell you how many employees of ours, and you know it's a real family, and they've been there for me in ways that I can't even tell you, and we've been there for them. And but we've always done it with genuine sincerity, and we've never BS'd them. And everything that we've ever said we were going to do, we've actually done. And I think that holds a lot of weight.
There was a collection of things that we and I were talking about backstage in different calls and things, but I was amazed that essentially at the age of 26, and maybe I'm getting the date wrong, but I think at the age of 26, you were tasked with building the Las Vegas hotel. Think about that, age 26, building the whole hotel, the budget, be on time, on budget, the whole thing. And so I started going, well, how did your dad raise you? And Sean, you can pull it up real quick, but your new book, it's Under Siege, book number 1. And it is number 1 on Amazon. It's going to be number 1 in the world. And with your help, and again, I'll mention a couple times here for anybody streaming online, but if you do go and you buy the book on Amazon, so go to Amazon real quick, Sean, and look for Under Siege. If you buy that and then you text my phone number, you have a chance to win a day with Eric and I at Mar-a-Lago. So you just got to buy the book and then text us proof of purchase. And that's for anybody who buys, you know, and we'll announce it on October 14th. And in the book, they're going to hear some of these stories and a lot more. But I want to get your thoughts on this because your dad didn't start raising you to run the Trump organization at the age of 30. He didn't do it at the age of 25. He was tough on you at the age of 12. And we are in a soft culture where parents are trying to make life easy for their kids. They're trying to make it not stressful. But your dad put you on the construction side, if I'm correct, at the age of 12. Is this right? Can you maybe talk about how your dad prepped you to do what you're doing today?
Listen, we were spoiled as hell as kids, right? I mean, we lived in the penthouse of Trump Tower. This isn't exactly like don't cry for me moment, right? We were always fed. We always went to the best schools. We always had a great roof over our head. But the one thing that he and my mom was a total killer as well, were emphatic about is you don't give kids cash, right? Like there's nothing good that gives it, you know, that comes out of giving a type A kid cash. Just like keep them poor and also occupy their time so they can't go out and do stupid things. And you know, I started working on our construction sites at various properties. One of our properties is a big estate called Seven Springs. I mean, I worked there every single summer since I was, 11. I spent one summer cutting rebar with acetylene torches. I mean, every task that you can imagine. And my wife, I've told the story, a couple times to Clay, but we moved into our new house, and I'm literally sitting there, running conduit back to our circuit breaker box, and because I wanted to put plugs in my closet. And she's like, "You're gonna kill yourself." I'm like, "Honey, I grew up doing this stuff. Like, I know HVAC very well. I know electrical as well as anyone. I know plumbing as well as anyone because that's what I did all summer. And if you didn't want to do it, congratulations. You had no money. You were dirt poor, and we were working for minimum wage. I don't think Donald Trump was paying us $100 an hour. Like, we were working for $4 an hour, and we went to negotiate the negotiations with him, and it was part. no, you're not getting that extra dollar. I'm like, come on, does it really matter in the grand scheme of things? But it mattered to us. It mattered to our soul. You know, if we wanted a bike, go buy your bike. If you wanted a fishing rod, go buy your damn fishing rod. The cool thing about this is you start early. You know, you're breaking down walls. You're doing demo all day. By the time 4 or 5 o'clock came around, you were so tired that the last thing you're going to do is go do drugs or go drink or go waste some money. So you learned a skill, right? You learn the value of money. You met the very people who were the backbone of this organization. I worked for this guy named Frank Sanzo. This guy was 65. He became like a father to me. He was right from Italy, thick accent. Smoked packs of Marlboro Reds. Like my little lungs were just, my like little prepubescent lungs were just corrupted by this guy's Marlboro Reds. Pots of coffee. He was just a great guy, stubborn as hell. There's nothing that this guy wouldn't do. And he would literally, like if you were building a stone wall, if you're doing like masonry in patios, you're carrying around bluestone or flagstone, and he would literally be laughing at you if you put on a pair of gloves because it's like, no, I can work hard in your hands. And at the end of the day, he'd put a couple of drops of olive oil in your hands. You'd rub them together because his like olive oil was like the cure to absolutely, everything. And he'd be shouting derogatory terms at you because you're this like little, you're a little like, pale albino kid who's, carrying around a big piece of. But honestly, those are the people that gave us, the character that we have. And those are the people that taught us the early building blocks and everything about the trades. And so once you learn it from an early age, it's very hard to BS somebody. If somebody tells me it takes, 9 hours to go dig a hole that's 2 feet deep, you're probably going to call BS. And so I think the greatest thing you could do for a kid is, make them work, occupy their time, don't give them free time, and, make them actually learn a task and the value of getting up early and the value of accountability and hard work and, something that's meaningful.
And again, I want to make sure, I'm taking notes here. I'll make sure we're all getting this idea. Things you've told me in the past over the phone or in person, you've said, hey, keep your kids poor, keep them busy. And I just think that is so powerful. Keep your kids poor, keep them busy. I want you to, if someone should write that down, because that's powerful, because you want to make your life, your kids' lives so difficult that when they leave your house, it's easy. I don't know if that makes any sense. You want to make it like so difficult, like, and I believe that, and we were talking last night. My uncle Jerry, my father, my grandfather passed away suddenly, and then his mother passed. My grandmother passed away, and long story short, my dad ships me up to Minnesota to live with my uncle Jerry for some formative years, for basically about 6 months by myself. And I'm up there, and my uncle Jerry just had this philosophy: if you don't work, you don't eat. And I was telling you last night, his whole thing was literally, if you do not work, you don't get up and feed the chickens and do the thing, you just don't eat. And I didn't know he was a multimillionaire who was super successful. I just knew my eccentric uncle wasn't feeding me. And I'm calling my family, and I'm like, this guy won't feed me. And they're like, well, he said if you don't work, you don't eat. So he didn't feed the chickens. Good luck tomorrow. We'll try again. But your dad, to this day, correct me if I'm wrong, he'll still call you. It's normal to get a call from him at 5 a.m. or pre-5 a.m. where he'll ask you, hey, Eric, are you awake? Or to tell people that, because this is a real thing. Your father, to this day, still calls you 5 a.m. or.
Yeah, I'd say the vast majority of the time, and we speak almost every day, but, the vast majority of the time is 5 a.m. or it's 11 o'clock at night. I mean, the guy's a machine. He just doesn't turn off. But it's always, honey, did I wake you up? Honey. No, I'm clearly speaking to you, so you did it. And, honey, were you sleeping? This is, like 11:30 at night. And by the way, oftentimes this will be in the same day. Yeah, you might have caught me. Like, I'm a freak in terms of not needing too much sleep, but I'm not quite as bad as you yet, albeit I think I'm getting there, kind of rapidly by the day. But no, it's the guy's a workaholic. I mean, people see it, right? I mean, he's coming back from overseas. He gets off Air Force One at 2 o'clock in the morning, and he goes over the press gaggle, the fake news as we call them, and the Trump family, and he does a 20-minute press conference, and he comes off Marine One at the White House, and he goes up to the gaggle again and does another thing. Then he goes to bed, and 2 hours later, he's back out. But between that period of time, he's spoken to 200 people. I mean, the guy literally does not turn himself off. He's a freak of nature. I always call him the Energizer Bunny with a red tie, but on steroids. And if the steroids are Donald, it could be Diet Coke. I think that's probably his steroid, right? But it's Energizer Bunny in a red tie on steroids.
Now, your family has this approach towards branding, towards building, where it's, and I'm paraphrasing your father's quotes, but it's, if you're going to be thinking, you might as well think big, something to that effect. And that's a big thing that I've picked up with working with you and being around you, is you are thinking big. I mean, you're thinking big, and there's somebody here, you're a doctor, you're a dentist, you're a contractor, you're a drywall guy, you're a drywall person, you're a cleaning service, and you're thinking kind of small, and you as a family think big. Can you talk about the importance, or what that means for somebody who's here who maybe has 2 employees, 4 employees, about thinking big, having a big vision for your big life?
Oftentimes, I think we figure this out as a family. Oftentimes, it takes as much work to do a small project. Oftentimes, it takes more work to do a small project as it does a big project, right? I know that doesn't seem like it makes a lot of sense on face value, but like, so if you're going to do something, you may as well go all out and do it. And so, every time we've ever tried something, we've always shot for the moon. It's like, if we're going to do a building in a city, make it the biggest building. When I built Vegas, it was the tallest building in Las Vegas. When I built from Chicago, it was the 7th tallest building in the world at the time. Like, if you're going to go venture to do something, try and do it big. And I think that's applicable to, you use a sheetrock contractor. I can't tell you how many of my buddies are sheetrock contractors. But if you're going to go, maybe you don't want to, do the 2,000-foot home. Maybe you want to apply for that, 15,000 square foot doctor's office. It's the same thing. I mean, you might order a little bit more sheetrock, but, there's a hell of a lot more scale in that than focusing on, if you're the real estate broker, maybe you don't want to pigeonhole yourself into the $100,000 homes, albeit that can be a great business and plenty of people do it. But maybe it's worth devoting 50% of your time to try and sell the $500,000 home or the $1 million home, where selling one of those homes will give you 10x the commission of selling one of the other homes. So you need to sell, 90% less, 95% less to get to the same ultimate spot. So we've always been a family. It's, if you're going to do something, jump into a venture, jump into big ventures. And listen, not all of them work. They don't, right? Everybody strikes out in life. We've all been there a million times, but try and focus on the big venture. And oftentimes, I'm telling you, it's just as much work. The little ventures are just as much work as the big ventures.
Hey, is Dr. Zellner here? Dr. Z, are you here? Dr. Z, is he here? Is Dr. Z around? Is he around somewhere? Nope. Okay. All right. So Dr. Z, big mentor in my life, and one of the things that Dr. Z really impressed on me was he would, as a mentor, he would kind of give me these rude coaching sessions, where he was mentoring me and saying things to me that I don't know they're politically correct or they felt good, but they're helpful. And I kind of want to transition if we can, because I want to respect your time and I want to really get as much wisdom as we can. So it's kind of like if we were going to be mentored by Donald Trump or by you, and again, you run the organization, you've been running it for 10 years. I want to kind of get into some of those moments here. So what do you say to the entrepreneur who's like, I can't start my business now because I'm under siege. I'm under some litigation. I got a little legal problem, so I can't start a business now because I'm going through this. What do you say to somebody here who's trying to put off doing success now because you're always under siege? Like, what do you say to somebody who's in here and they're going, I want to do this, but now's not a good time because I'm going through a thing?
Listen, if you never start a race, you're never going to finish a race, right? It's a pretty basic principle of life. And, Elon Musk is really interesting. I was going around Blue Origin. I've never told this story with Jeff Bezos, right? Owner of Amazon, but he owns Blue Origin. And we're talking about kind of different philosophies. And he goes, I've studied Elon a lot. And I thought this was interesting coming from Jeff. And he goes, if he wants to accomplish something, he'll set a goal, even if that goal is totally unrealistic. And he'll have everybody pointing at that goal. And, if he blows that goal, it is what it is. But he's still 1,000 times further ahead than if he never set the goal to begin with. And I've noticed my entire life in construction, right? So I built a big property, Doral. Everybody's probably heard of it. It's in Florida. And we had 1 year to build this property because we had the PJ coming back. So literally, we had a lodge called the Tiger Woods Villa. And Tiger Woods was going to be staying there, in 364 days after last. So we had to get the whole thing done, right? And this is millions of square footage of construction. And, we set a goal and we had to deliver on that goal. And if you didn't deliver on that goal, you were going to have real problems, right? And what I've always noticed was if you let that goal slide and people know the second it slides, which is, hey, we're a month out, we think we're going to need another week. Well, congratulations, people will take 5 weeks. If you're a month out and you say, listen, I think we're going to need another 2 weeks, well, people are absolutely going to take those 2 weeks. Same thing with 3 weeks. They're going to take those 3 weeks. No matter how long it is, people will take that additional time that you give. If you say, guys, I don't give a damn. We have a goal and we're going to achieve that goal. People will meet that goal. It's just a funny reality of life. But you give an inch off of that goal, and people will take that entire inch. And so, start now. You have to start the race in order to be able to finish it. Excuses are cheap. You know, the people that make the excuses just, listen, they won't get to the finish line. Everybody has an excuse in their life, right? I mean, I've been gone for the last 10 days. There's a lot of things I could skip out on life. And, you know, unfortunately, you just got to do it.
Follow up. I want to talk about following up. You know, so you have an employee who works with you or a teammate or somebody who runs something, and you ask them, hey, we need to get this done by this date. And you're really good at following up. You're really good at, hey, I'm going to be here on this day, just following up, making sure we're good logistically. Hey, is this getting done? I've watched you do it. I've seen you do it. You follow up. And I think there's a natural hesitancy we have as entrepreneurs to follow up with someone for the 47th time about the same thing that's not done yet. Or we want to avoid the conflict. But you lean into it. You're not mean, but you do follow up. Can you talk about the importance of just the follow-up till it's done?
Well, I think, and I think we all do this psychologically, but people need to know that something's top of mind, and if they know it's top of your mind, they're not going to let it slip, right? Because at the end of the day, if you're running a company, I do it all the time. I mean, I'd say 90% of my day is devoted to that. Where are we with this? You know, you might be 1 foot past where you were yesterday on the same question that you asked, but everybody knows it's top of mind. If all of a sudden you don't ask that question for a 4-week period of time, people are going to think it's just fundamentally not important to you, hence the reason you're not actually inquiring about it, and they're not going to prioritize it the same way. So my father's like that. If something's on his mind, he'll just be relentless. He'll beat it to death. Where are we? Where are we? Where are we? And it ultimately, you know, kind of, you know, drives that to the finish line. So, you know, one more thing, though, is also cutting through, you know, I have a kid here, so I won't use the word, but, you know, BS, right? I mean, every day there's an excuse that gets made about something, and they're all cheap excuses. And I think at some point it's, you know, and I think you can indoctrinate teams to ultimately cut through nonsense and BS. Like, I think we get very little of it in our company. But when somebody says something that you know is just nonsense, cut it out. Like, just cut it out. Listen, that's not a good excuse. You know that's not a good excuse. You know, if something got screwed up, you let us know. You know, if something didn't work out, fine, tell us. But do not allow BS. Like, call out BS and do so instantly, right? Because I can't tell you how much delay cheap excuses, which everybody knows are excuses, but oftentimes people are afraid to call out as excuses, how much time that can actually delay a project or a goal or a mission or an objective or whatever you want. You know, put an end to nonsense and hyperbole very, very quickly.
Other thing that you do there's so many things, but I just want to try to distill as many of them as I can. I noticed that you will walk into one of your hotels or one of your properties, and you will talk to a person who's staying at the property, and you will treat them like they're the most important person in the world. And we were in Branson, and I told my wife this story last night, and I've told it to her before, but that's how I knew I liked you. It took me a while to see. I was like, I think I like him, but is he who I think he is? Because maybe he isn't maybe I'm not who I think I am. Maybe, have you ever had that thought? You meet someone, you're like, but who are they really? We were in Branson, and you've been on the tour for quite a while, and I just was loving my experience working with you. And there was the security was trying to make sure that you were safe and all those kind of things. And so they're taking you off. You did the photos and the handshakes, and you kind of got to the end of that, and it's like, we're going to go this way. But you see a kid over here who's going through something, and you're like, hey, let me say hi to this kid real quick. And you went over there, said hi to the kid, and then you kept doing it. And I noticed that was you. Like, you were listening. I call it the Holy Spirit, but you were listening to that little nudge to say hi to the person that no one would have known you did that. And I just want to get your thoughts on that, because you have big goals and you're pragmatic, but you also will meet someone in your lobby and interact with them. Or at Trump Tower, I saw you did with a couple that was having lunch, and you're like, how are you guys? Where are you from? You liking the food? Can you talk about the balance of that? Because you got big dreams, but you're also, you don't come across like you're unapproachable.
So I think somebody holds a first impression of a person for a long time, right? If you look at my father, you know how tedious it is to shake thousands of hands every day? You know how many selfies the guy and all of us have taken over the course of our lives? Like, I mean, can I cut you in on a little secret? It's not all that enjoyable, right? I mean, there's times you just want to get the hell home. You want to see your kids. You want to tuck them in at night. And yet the impression that you give people, and genuinely caring, because you can't fake it. There's a lot of guys out there. There's a lot of actors who are genuinely, like, just not good people. And they'll just be mean about it. No, I'm so sorry. Like, and we never do that, any of us as a family. But let me give you kind of one little example as it relates to business. You know, I look at something called GSI scores. I look at it almost every single week. GSI is Guest Satisfaction Index in hotels. So I'll line up all the hotels against each other, and I'll look at where they rank, right? And so our physical product across all the properties is perfect. They have to be. The best marble, the best bathrooms, et cetera, right? And so what you're really actually measuring isn't the physical quality. You're really actually measuring kind of the service, standards. I've had general managers that I've let go of, at various properties, and somebody else will come in. The physical standard of the property hasn't changed at all. The difference is the one person will be in the lobby, and every person they come in, hi, my name's Mikhail. I mean, Mikhail's our general manager at Doral. I just use this as an example because he's one guy that does this phenomenally well. You know, how are you? He'll shake every kid's hand. If you bring a dog, you'll literally have a dog bowl, a Yeti dog bowl with your dog's name monogrammed on it. You'll have a pet menu. You know, if you have kids coming, you'll have a little teepee tent, you know, with Trump kids stuff in there with their names embroidered on little baby kids' robes. I mean, you do that for a kid. You touch, you shake hands. You get down on your knee. I just signed this little guy's the back of his shirt. But
Dawson,
you touch a pet. You touch a kid in a meaningful way, and that those parents, those owners in the case of pet, they'll love you in perpetuity. If you can look in somebody's eyes and shake their hand and genuinely appreciate them and genuinely care about them and take care of them. And so the point that I'm getting to is I've seen properties who had a GSI score of kind of 9.2, right? 9.3. So you're, A score. A different general manager comes in who just lives in the lobby. Nothing else changes. He's just touching people. And all of a sudden your GSI score is 9.8. And by the way, these are the biggest sample sets you've ever seen, right? I mean, take a property like Doral where you might have 600 people staying there. So, you have 700 rooms. So you have 600 people plus people staying there every single night for an entire year. You're talking about tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of room nights across the portfolio. You're not like faking this, right? Like if you're making a meaningful impression on people, you're going to get good scores. If you're not making a meaningful impression on people, you're going to get bad scores. But for the contractors out there, just being kind, shaking somebody's hand, developing a little bit of rapport with them. That's what's going to separate you from everybody else because that's what people gravitate toward.
That's Mikhail, the gentleman who runs Doral.
Mikhail. Yeah.
And this is a true story. I was in D.C. before I met you, and this was during the lockdowns. Who remembers lockdowns? That was a great time in American history. You remember if you were a protester in Tifa, you got to go outside because it was safe. But if you were, I don't know, just going to work, that was dangerous. You had to keep those rules in mind. And so I'm in the lobby of the, I'll call it the mothership of conservatism, a.k.a. the Trump Hotel, D.C. I'm there, and you got the health officials that are trying to kind of police a business. It's a weird thing. And so Mikhail I didn't know you at the time. He walks up to me. He says, "Hello, sir. How are you?" I said, "Great." And they're trying to, social distance but also serve you in this whole weird thing. And I just kept ordering hummus because I was meeting somebody there, and I needed to, stay there because you couldn't stay in the lobby unless you were eating because of the health rules or something. It was a weird thing. And Mikhail's like, "Hey, I'm not making these rules, but you got to be a buyer to be," or something. So I'm, perpetually ordering copious amounts of hummus. I'm just keep the hummus coming, do the hummus thing. And it's what's up with the hummus? I'm like, it's an order I feel good about. We'll just keep that going. So we're just keeping that going. And I'm the hummus guy. My wife's with me, and we're in the lobby, and we're there because we're there to meet Dr. Judy Mikovits, and we're meeting different people. And I'm just ordering hummus. Just keep it going. And I thought that's an interesting moment in American history. And he said, "Hey, thank you, sir." Whatever. So then we're at Trump Doral, and he walks up to me. He's like, "Clay Clark." I'm like, I haven't seen this guy in 3 years, and he moved from D.C. right to Doral. And he remembered my first and last name and came up to me, and he's like, "You're the lobby guy." And I'm like, "I'm the lobby guy." So it's a real thing. And I just think these are powerful things if you can teach your staff to really engage. You can teach your staff. There's so many things you can learn from what they're doing at the Trump organization. Next thing I want to get into, sales. You do not apologize for the prices that you charge, even though some of us wish they were a little bit lower. We wish they were a little bit lower. And so, but you're staying at Trump.
I don't know. Clay gets a pretty damn good deal.
You get what I'm saying, though. You have to,
like a 7-day Scotland vacation for, Clay gets a good deal. Hey, do me a favor, guys. Don't cry for Clay, all right? You promise?
You get the idea, though. Somebody in the lobby is going to say, "Wow, this pizza's maybe a little more than I thought it would be." But it's who here is not? Who by show of hands? Who here has stayed at a Trump property? Who by show of hands has not? Okay, if you haven't, I'm just telling you, if you just want to learn about customer service, just stay there for 2 days. But you go there, Trump Doral, and just the restaurant, even just the bar, it's next level. Everything's next level. And you charge for it because you pay your people really well, too. I just want to get your thoughts. How do you process that value proposition of trying to be the best and then not apologizing? Because there's somebody here who you want to offer the best service possible, but you can't afford to pay your people really well because you're not charging enough. And it's sort of that doom cycle if you're charging low, paying low. How do you process that whole thing?
Guys in life don't bottom fish, all right? I mean, we figured out that, you know, over years and years, don't bottom fish. If you're a contractor, don't bottom fish. I would say 99%. I'll give you a great story, and we're kind of getting pretty deep, but you know, Doral. So you in Florida, you've got peak season, which is like, you know, 8 months of the year, and then you have kind of a trough season, right? Call like August. Like not many people go to Florida in August, meaning if you're transferred, there's a lot of better places to go, and everybody wants to go there in November, December, January, February, March, etc. And all of a sudden, I started realizing, you know, why on those GSI scores, right, back to that concept, why is it that they're always worse during the summer? And so in the summer, we're offering like, you know, $150 rates per night at one of the nicest hotels anywhere, and you're sitting there saying, okay, so I'm offering the lowest rate that property will ever have. Normally, it's $600, $700, $800, $1,000, you know, to stay there, but you're charging $150, but yet all your bad reviews are coming in at that period of time, right? And the reviews are coming out. You know, there are 2 bottles of water in the room, but I thought I would get a third. Like, you know, they should have had 3 bed chocolates on the bed instead of 2. And you're sitting there saying, guys, this crap isn't worth it. It's not worth it. You know, jack the rates up. I finally said to them, I go, we're not doing this kind of, you know, summer, you know, a fish at the bottom of the barrel thing. Try and be competitive with other hotels that aren't competitor. You don't want to play that game. And like, I really do believe in the 80s pricing model. I'm gonna say something that's totally controversial for a second, but like, you know, sometimes if something isn't selling, double your price. I know that sounds crazy. It defies, you know, but I'm telling you, time and time again, it's happened. We've had golf clubs and our golf clubs are really expensive to get into. We operate on the highest level, you know, in the best markets, but where something would be priced at $50,000, right? And I know that's expensive for a golf membership by most standards, not really for our company, you know, and things they're teetering along and they're doing fine. All of a sudden, you jump into 100,000, and all of a sudden, members start flying in because people want to be associated with the best. People want to pay for quality. So I see contractors. One of my best friends is a contractor, and every single time he does a remodel and the person's absolutely haggling every single penny, the person's a disaster, right? An absolute disaster. When he prices competitively, the people, when he wins those bids, they turn into his greatest headaches and his greatest nightmares. And so, you know, oftentimes allow other people to fish at the very bottom of the barrel and stay a level above that. And I'm telling you, the problem and annoyance factor will go down significantly.
Checklists. I want to get into checklists. Your properties, you'll walk in. It's fascinating when you watch Eric walk into a property. It's interesting because I almost can hear your brain, and it's like, what is not perfect here? And then you're also very emotionally aware and attentive to the people that are there. But I watch you, and you're like inspecting chandeliers, and it's kind of fun to watch this. Can you talk about the importance of checklists within the Trump organization, you know, for cleaning bathrooms, or it's just spotless? I mean, for cleaning the bathrooms, for getting guest rooms ready, for making sure that the greens are perfect. What role do checklists play?
Hold this. So has anybody watched me fidget with this table this entire time I've been up here? How many times have you seen me turn it? Right? So there's a square on the floor, right? And everybody would say this stand right here is pretty squared off, right? Would you say that this is fairly parallel to me? What's wrong? My OCD literally can't handle that crap. I want to
get him another podium. We got to get him the other podium.
So I need a DeWalt drill, and I need a torque, and I need a...
Andrew, we've got the other podium out there.
I need a Torx bit over here. No, it's driving me absolutely crazy, right? So
no, I'm going to get you the other one.
Look how crooked this is. Like, I mean, that's not off by a degree. That's off by like 20 degrees. These lines are running this way.
I love it.
And so this is the kind of crap at a Trump hotel that keeps me up at night, right?
Yeah. Now, here comes the one that should be there. I'm gonna try this one.
Yeah, that's
see
nice.
How I feel about this one. Let's bring this one here. Let's see how that one's doing there. That's it. That's the one that's supposed to be there, but it's.
Oh, there we go. Very good. I like that.
Resolve that.
I was always the guy at our company that was famous for. I'd always go in through the service entrance, right? I'd go into a new property. I'd always go through the service entrance. I wouldn't go through the front door. The lobbies are going to be perfect. The lobbies aren't perfect. You're doing something really wrong, right? But you go through, and like I'm famous for it. If you ask anybody in our company, I will find any door to any mechanical room in the deepest, darkest attics or in the basements, I will walk in. I will make sure they are spotless. This means that there are no fan belts on the floor. There is zero dust. Every light is perfect. And I'm not talking about like one little like, old like incandescent light. I'm talking about LED lights, well lit, perfectly painted, absolutely immaculate, no furniture stuck in a corner, no old refrigerator in the back. They have to be perfect. And I'll go through every single, our circuit breaker boxes in our company, they must be labeled. It's not like you go in there, you open up a panel, and you can't actually tell which circuit breaker applies to which circuit. Like, everything's got to be labeled. Everything has to be methodical. Our closets better be as good back of house as front of house. And it's an expectation. And so, we go around, and I always, I'll point a little scratch out on a wall. I'm not doing that because that little scratch is the most important thing. But if the owner's pointing out that little smudge, you better believe if something is seriously off, they're going to be pointing it out. So if you can actually refine your expectation down to the smallest detail, i.e. the horribly crooked tables. This one's a little bit better. Look, the guy lined this up, Clay. Look at this. You'd be very proud.
Now, real quick, his book, Under Siege, it reads like what just happened here. Where it's like this odd duality where you're trying to just run a business and grow the organization, which, by the way, I think since you've taken over the Trump organization over 10 years ago, it more than doubled in size. It's grown dramatically, and but yet you're being subpoenaed all the time. And so if you're here and you're going, I just want to get a good business book to learn how to run a business, that book, it goes there. But if you're going, what's it like running a business while also dealing with just perpetual jackassery? And in the book, one of the things you talk about is your dad, you are on this little show called The Apprentice. And you guys are interviewing you're having the who's who are on the show as the contestants. These are the biggest names in the world, and they're friends with you. They're asking, can I get on the show? I want to be on the show. Can we be on the show? The biggest names in the world, people like Dennis Rodman are on the show. And then when your dad comes down that golden escalator thing, all of a sudden there is like you can feel who's your friend, who isn't your friend. And in your book, you talk about how you emotionally deal with it. And I know my wife dealt with it. I dealt with it. But the moment that I said, we're not locking down, we're going to stay open, and we're not going to require masks here, it was a massive divide in my life. And I hadn't felt that kind of pushback before. It was pretty wild. Longtime friends, no longer friends. And you in your book, you give really good advice for how you manage that emotionally. Can you talk about that? What you talk about in the book a little bit?
Well, first of all, most people don't actually want to see your success, even the people that are closest in your lives. Let's just compartmentalize that, right? I know that's kind of a nasty thing to say, but there's a lot of people that are actually rooting against you that should be rooting for you in life. I know it's not nice. It's just kind of a reality of the world. And I have to say, the political stuff was actually very cathartic to us. You know why? Two of my best friends, literally, they were twins pretty much twins, who I've known as a kid. I did every vacation with them, every holiday with them. I was their best friends. My father came down that escalator. One of their wives was marching in that big parade the day after in Washington, D.C. Many people will remember kind of the parade where they're wearing the pink hats and other things, and with vile signs and posting on. And I'm sitting there saying, like, dude, I was your best man in your wedding. Like, what are you people doing? Like, betrayal is real in the world. I know that's, again, it's not like I'm not trying to be politically correct right now. I'm being the exact opposite. I could make this warm and sugary and, but it's the cathartic thing about life, the cathartic thing about politics is for every one of those friends that we lost, right? And my father called it from day one. He always said, listen, you're going to learn who your true friends were. For every one of the Capital Ones, so the people over there that had Capital One accounts, no cheering Capital One. They're horrible people who treated us horribly. So, but the cathartic thing is, as you get canceled, and it sucks, and it hurts, and it's not fun, and it takes a lot of time, and it wastes a lot of resources, and it's stressful as hell, and you lose the nights of sleep, all of a sudden somebody migrates into your life. And they're there at the lowest times, and they're there for the right reasons. And then you get back into those good times, and you're sitting there saying, you know what? Like, I've got that core team around me. Clay Clark would have never come into my life had it not been for some level of politics. And this guy cared about, saving this country just as much as I did. And we were dear friends. And by the way, there were plenty of times where it cost him probably a lot of money and a lot of sleep and a lot of heartache and subpoenas. And they went after him like a dog, like they came after me. And you could never replicate that kind of friendship because there were plenty of people who otherwise you would have known for longer, who otherwise you would have come into the thing thinking they were better friends, who deserted you over absolutely nothing, in those times. And these were the guys that were running toward you in those times. And I wouldn't trade one of those brothers that I mentioned before. I wouldn't trade 200 of those brothers I mentioned before for one of these guys. So prioritize loyalty in life.
Eric, what I want to do is, I want to just, there's so much in the book that I've read it, and it comes out October 14th. And when there's part of me that I read the book. It's so exciting. There's so much you learn in that book, and there's just certain things I think you should know, but you got to get it. But one of the things in the book you talk about is, you're being subpoenaed basically every day. Your dad's being dragged to court every day. You're perpetually under siege. This is happening. People forget Mar-a-Lago got raided. By the way, if you want to see the place that got raided, you should buy a copy of the book. But it's a thing where it's just like, this is the former president of the United States at this point being raided, but yet you continue to run your day. And it was how do you compartmentalize that? Like if somebody here, they own a business, they're getting sued for the first time, the wrongful termination for the first time, they lose a big contract, the funding doesn't come through, whatever the bad thing happens, their work van quit working, whatever that adversity is, what do you say to yourself, inner dialogue, in those low moments to keep going?
Well, listen, I start compartmentalizing everything as a game in life. So I started a foundation exactly 21 years ago. It's 20th year this year. Started it the year before for St. Jude Children's Hospital. Does anybody know who they are? And so I sat on the board of St. Jude for years, and amazing. We just raised $50 million. We just surpassed $50 million that we raised for terminally ill children. I started this thing when I was 21 years old. We had the lowest expense ratio of any charity in the country. We were running, in the 10 years that I ran it, every day to day, I had an 8.2% expense ratio. 50% of that was credit card processing. And we delivered unthinkable. At 21 years old, my first check they delivered St. Jude was $210,000. We doubled it. Last year, we ended up raising over $10 million that went right to the hospital. When Hillary was getting absolutely annihilated because she did the opposite, about 2% of the money the Clinton Foundation actually raised, went to causes, and you remember the Haiti scandals and all the pay for play and all the other nonsense, right? They're flying around the world in G550s, burning copious amounts of gas, and the whole thing was a sham. As she was getting killed, they decided to come after me. My first subpoena ever by the Attorney General of New York was for running a charity where I built the largest ICU dedicated to terminally ill children in the world. We want and I'll never forget, she gets up in front of the Seal of New York, Attorney General Seal of New York, things like this big. Today, we launch an investigation on Eric Trump and the Eric Trump Foundation. I'm like, holy shit. I'm not sure if I understand. Like, at this point, I'd raised 15, 16, 17 million bucks for dying children, had no employees, had virtually no expenses, did it right, did it better. No one was coming to our events for pictures, right? They were doing it because they loved the kids. They wanted to help a cause. And I'm sitting here getting annihilated by the news saying that I was stealing money from children with cancer. And I'm saying, how do you steal money from children with cancer if you have an 8% expense ratio and 50% of it's, this is the nonsense that they do. And guess what? I start compartmentalizing life as a game. The games aren't always fun. They're not always nice. In fact, most of the time the games are, but they're game. And at the end of the day, you have to kind of win the game, right? I became the most subpoenaed person, arguably in American history, at 112 subpoenas, right? Not because I had ever gotten a speeding ticket. I was a guy, no drugs, no games, no laptops from hell, nothing. But why did they come after me? Because it was a game. It was a way to somehow disqualify DJT. They wanted me to be the next Hunter Biden, and I'm far from Hunter Biden. They wanted to slander us. They wanted to kill us. They wanted to take us down. But at the end of the day, if you can actually kind of zoom out and say, listen, look, I understand the game, and I understand why it's being played, and I understand who the people are, then you just need to play the game better, right? And so you got to take emotion out of this stuff. I could have sat there and cried and said, hey, listen, at the age of 20, I built a charity for terminally ill children. If I was Malia or Sasha Obama, I would have won the Nobel Peace Prize for what I did, right? I'm clearly never going to win the Nobel Peace Prize because these people are crazy, and they'll never give you the benefit of the doubt, but you have to compartmentalize things like that as a game. And I think the second you take emotion out of it is the second you can start, thinking clearly.
You know, I'll say this one character trait I've discovered about you is you actually take bitterness and turn it into betterness. Like bad things, hate becomes your haterade, and somehow you sip on that. And so I was on the phone with you at the day that your father got shot. I was on the phone with you when that happened, and I remember you said, "Gotta go." And then the next morning we talked, and you were like 100, and you were always been 100% guy, but now you're like 125%. Like you're even more motivated to save the country the day after the shooting. And I just want to. Can you walk us through what were you thinking? And I know the book you talk about it, but what were you thinking when you're with your kids, you're on the phone with some guy in Oklahoma, you see your father get shot? What's flashing through your mind? Because literally the next morning, I told Vanessa, I said, "Hey, Eric just called, and we're going to do ABC 1, 2, 3." You were even more fired up to save the country the day after. I just want to get you. How do you process that?
Well, we're a little bit of a kind of masochistic family in a certain way. It's like, does that make sense? Like the harder they torture you, kind of like the more you like it. I know that's a little raunchy, I guess. Like I didn't mean it for. But honestly, I mean, like the worse they made our lives, honestly, the harder we wanted to, to kind of win. Like they thought that they could make you so uncomfortable that you just, you throw in the towel and you quit. And we just, as a family, we just decided never to quit and just punch back harder and harder and harder. And frankly, I think you got to do that in business. Listen, you ride high times and you also run really low times. I mean, I was running a company during COVID where they were literally calling me saying, "Hey, you've got 24 hours to turn the lights off," and a 2.4 million gross square foot building, where you've got restaurants and you've got spas and you've got and by the way, employees can't come to work. And I'm sitting there saying, I don't know, like by law, we're mandated to have fire command in every one of these buildings, right? God forbid something happens, and right, it's like, what am I going to do? Send home the people that handle life safety systems and. Like, where does this stop? I mean, you literally have projects that went from being vibrant and on to being off, instantly. And, there's dark moments that people have, and you've got to just push through. You've got to fight through all of them, as uncomfortable and as trying and as financially difficult as it can ultimately be. You've got to fight.
Now, one of the things that it's kind of fun, you and I will be teaming up together again in December. We're doing an event in December for anybody. And Sean, if you can pull it up on the screen there, thrivetimeshow.com. It'll be December 4th and 5th in Anaheim. And again, anybody who buys a copy of your book, they're entered in for a chance to win a trip to Mar-a-Lago to meet you and I there.
Can we talk about that?
Yeah.
So Clay Clark calls me and he goes, "All right, we got to do something really special for the people that come to my events and to my listeners." All right, what do you want to do? He's like, "How about a dinner, you and I, at Mar-a-Lago?" Now, Mar-a-Lago is the most expensive club in the world. All right, it's $2 million to get in. The patio is like the hottest place in the world. And I go, "This is a cool idea." And so I go, "So how is this going to work?" He goes, "Very simple. They're going to text me." I go, "You're just going to give everybody your cell phone number?"
Yeah.
He goes, "Yeah, I just published my cell phone number to everybody." Could you imagine if I did that, if I published my cell phone number to everybody? Like, my wife would not be thrilled, so let's not do that, Clay. But they're going to text me. They're going to go on Amazon. They're going to order it. They're going to screenshot their order. They're going to text Clay Clark. And then somehow we're going to draw it out of like a fishbowl or something?
Yeah, that's what's going to happen. Now, real quick, if we pull up Sean, go to thrivetimeshow.com, put up on the screen so we can see it. So the mechanics of this is you buy the book. How many of you have engaged with me over the phone? Like, I've called you personally. You've called me. Yeah. So I meet people at these events, like in Oregon. There's like 4,000 people. Like, you called me. I'm like, that's true. And if you're like, "Is this AI? Is this an automated thing?" I'm like, "No, it's me." So there we go. But it's a thing where when you text my number, that's my phone number, 918-85-101. Saul, I do that for you. 918. This is Saul, one of my longtime clients. I'm bilingually sensitive to Saul. So 918-85-10102. So you'll want to text L proof of purchase to 918-851-0102. You get a chance to go to Mar-a-Lago, meet Eric, and you get a ticket to come to the Anaheim event in December. And so that's the thing. But I want to shift gears and focus on this. You do the St. Jude thing, and then you're also donating a portion of proceeds to help support Charlie Kirk. And I want to just get your thoughts on Charlie Kirk and the impact that he made and why you're donating a portion of proceeds to support his cause.
I'm just thinking how much I miss your crooked table.
Oh, I'll switch it up back.
So Charlie Kirk was a great friend. He came into my office, and this was 10 years ago. He was 21 years old, and he told me about the organization that he wanted to build, which was obviously Turning Point. And listen, 99% of people who will come into your lives will probably pitch an idea, and maybe you roll your eyes or say, that's amazing, it's a great idea, but it's going to take a lot of work, and it's a lofty goal. And I'm sitting there, and he literally told me, he's like, I want to change the hearts and minds of college students all across this country. And by the way, not only change the hearts and minds, right? That's one problem, but I want to literally stack every student body in this country, right? And it's something that they never talk about when they talk about Charlie. I've never heard it once in all the weeks of media coverage since his assassination. But he's like, I want to make sure that the student body leadership is controlled by conservatives, that the activity on campuses are controlled by conservatives, that the speakers are going to be conservative. And at the point, he had like a couple chapters, and Turning Point was just kicking off, and he was young, and he was incredibly green. And I'm listening to this, and I said, man, this kid's special, but this is going to be hard. Like, I mean, changing the hearts and minds of 20-year-olds in college, you know, who have been indoctrinated by every teacher, like, this is a hard. And guys, he did it. The guy did it. The guy did it, you know. And they killed him. And they killed him because they realized that they had lost the narrative, right? It's you know, when you've lost the narrative, you know what they always do? They resort to violence. This is why they tried to kill DJT twice. You know, it's why they tried to kill him. Or it's why they killed Charlie. It's why they tried to kill Steve Scalise. You know, it's why you have that, you know, the war that you have, right? They sit there and they call everybody fascists, but yet, you know, they're the ones dressed in all black, you know, hiding on a roof 200 yards away by themselves with a sniper rifle as a young kid, you know, engages in civil dialogue using our First Amendment constitutional right. And so anyway, with the book, you know, the book came out 3 days, and it would have been the last chapter of the book. I literally said this to Clay. It would have been the last chapter of the book because it's so, you know, if you look at Under Siege, if Clay gives me 30 seconds, right, they tried to impeach my father twice. They made up the dirty dossiers. They raided our homes. They took us off of social media. They stripped us of our First Amendment right. They put gag orders on my father. Facebook gone. Instagram gone. They took him off the ballots in Maine and Colorado using corrupt justices. They spied on his campaign. They weaponized the FBI. They weaponized the DOJ. They tried to, you know, they certainly tried to screw up his marriage. They tried to break all of us up as a family. They tried to bankrupt our company. I became the most subpoenaed person, as I said before, in the history of our country. I was getting calls from the FBI and from the Washington Post and from the New York Times saying, I hear you have secret servers in the basement of Trump Tower communicating directly with the Kremlin when we don't know a single damn person in Russia. Certainly don't have servers in a basement because basements flood and are largely a cloud-based computing company. Like, you know, we're not really have antiquated servers. We're largely cloud-based. And by the way, and guys, and so many more things, including 91 indictments, mugshots, and everything you can possibly imagine. I mean, like that is the siege. And guess what else they wanted? You know, they wanted anybody who furthered a movement. They wanted them off the stage. They didn't want them to have the microphone. They didn't want them shouting a narrative. They certainly didn't want Charlie Kirk around there. You think they want me up here? Of course they don't want me up here, right? You think they wanted my father on that stage? Of course they didn't. And so these anarchists start, you know, voting with rifles, you know, as opposed to actually winning a conversation because their ideas stink, right? They actually, again, because of a child, I won't use the word, but like, you know, they're actually far worse than that. They're just, they're awful. And they lost the American people who want the greatest country in the world. They want God. They want freedom. They want free speech. They want Constitution. They want red, white, and blue. And that's the whole concept of Under Siege, you know, as the book. It's all the dirty tricks and the nasty games and the behind-the-scenes moments of what they did to try and take down a person, a family, and the greatest political movement in the history of the world.
Now, everybody who gets a copy, it's like one entry into that thing, and it's October 14th is a big day because we're currently, are we beating Kamala Harris? Is that what's happening right now in the booklet? Are we beating her? Is that happening?
All right, let me tell you a little story that I love seeing this on camera. I hope they take this and disseminate it to the world because it's true. But so I did this with Simon & Schuster, and I'll never do a book with Simon & Schuster. They've got to be like the worst because they publish some like the worst books. And honestly, Simon & Schuster's been amazing. The people that I'm doing it with me. But they called me up, the person who's doing the book. They go, I've never seen such nonsense in my entire life. The amount of pre-orders for Kamala Harris's book in bulk is unlike we've ever seen it in any publishing ever, right? Meaning they just had their Democratic donors go in and buy like 10,000 of the books in like massive clips, right? It was like a total sham. They go in the history of any book, we've never seen such a large bulk pre-orders. Now it's all a sham. They call up one of their donors, hey, will you order 5,000 books for me? Will you order 10,000 books for me? We are kicking, oh yeah, 100%. You better believe he's behind it. We are kicking their butts. We went to number one on Amazon. We went to #1 in biographies, in memoirs, in politics, nationally. I mean, across the board. So we are. And by the way, the New York Times is going to do everything they can to keep me off that list, right? Like the New York Times is still the publication that will not will not take back the Pulitzer Prize for sham reporting from Maggie Haberman on the Russia hoax, like, saying that there was Russia collusion between DJT and Vladimir Putin, even when they came out and disproved it, right? Even, they come out and disprove it, and they won't take back the Pulitzer Prize. So you better believe New York Times is going to do everything they can to keep me off that list, and I'm hell bent on being #1. So go.
All right, now we're going to do, Pastor Jackson, we're going to move into lightning round, okay? So I'm going to call off some names. They got to get approved by you. We're going to go through lightning round, okay? So we got a few questions, lightning round. I want to bring up, if I can, Levi, bringing you up. You didn't know I was going to do it, but I'm doing it. This is Levi. He works in the office, does a great job. And Levi, you can ask Eric Trump anything you want, but the rules are like this. No statement questions. So it can't be like, please tell me why I'm awesome. It can't be like that kind of thing. Or it can't be, so no political agenda.
I think Levi's awesome. Levi, you're awesome.
So Levi, come on up here. Grab this mic here, sir. You can help on this mic. There you go. And what question would you have for Eric Trump? Any question you want?
Oh, wow. There's so many I can think of.
Under siege. He's mentally under siege.
Yeah.
I'm coming back to you. Get ready. Jan, come on up here. Jan. Jan with Epoch Times here. Let's hear for Jan, American Thought Leaders. Levi, I'm coming back to you. You're in the hot seat. He's mentally under siege right now. He's like, why did you do this to me? What have I done? Okay, Jan, what question do you have for Eric?
What do you see as, what do you see as the successful future for America? What does that look like in a nutshell? Summarize it.
Yeah, trade mics. I hate corded mics. They're just like, it ruins your mobility.
By the way, I have the same OCD problems you do. Just full confession here, okay? But
I miss my crooked table, as I said before.
Yeah.
What do I see as for the future of the U.S. and success? I see getting back to God. I see getting back to family. Vanessa and I, Clay's wife and I were talking about this last night, that, I think one of the greatest mistakes of this country is the way that they've demonized motherhood over career, and they've ingrained that in an entire society. And if you can do both, it's wonderful. But it seems like they've demonized the word motherhood, and I think they've done so intentionally. And I can't tell you how many girlfriends I have that are waking up at, like great friends from school, that are waking up at, honey, I don't have any girlfriends, all right, Laura, just,
What?
Yeah. None of the Trumps ever liked women. That's not. But I can't tell you how many girlfriends I have from college that are 37, 38, and work their butts off, and I've done so great in so many aspects of life, and yet they're sitting there and they're kind of unfulfilled in the other side because they never focused on it. And sometimes, and I've had them make comments to me, which is like, at the end of the day, like, is that career, is working for somebody else going to be my ultimate legacy, or is building an amazing family, and beautiful children, is that going to be my legacy? And I don't know why no one ever talks about this. Like, you don't have a voice that's out there. Honestly, Erica Kirk, she's the first time that this has really been brought up in a meaningful way. And it's like, have kids and have a lot of them, like, focus on family, focus on, and, I see Vanessa and I see their family. We ate with all their kids last night, and like, how, like, what's more important in the world, like that, or like, a 8 a.m. till, 11 p.m. job where you're working for somebody else. And, it's I'm not saying don't do both. All I'm saying is I'd love to see a society where we get back to religion, where you get back to children, where you get back to family, where you have the greatest, strongest, most prosperous nation, the freest nation on earth, one that respects the Constitution, one that doesn't put up with BS, one where our charity is actually reciprocated. I mean, every single time somebody has a natural disaster somewhere in the world, guess who comes running? America, right? Every time we have a natural disaster, guess who doesn't come running? Anybody else in the world. And like, I think I'm sick of it, and I think most Americans are sick and tired of it. I think we should be the most charitable country in the world. I believe in it. I told you the St. Jude story. I believe in it more than anything. But I think our finish line is that peace, prosperity. And by the way, I'm being long-winded in a question answer, but look at Washington, D.C. Washington, D.C. went from being a bloodbath to being like one of the safest cities in the country. Like we can fix the faults of these cities. We can fix the faults of these communities, and like we can restore what makes America the greatest country in the world.
All right, Jan, great question. Levi, are you ready? Are you ready?
Yes.
What question do you have for Eric Trump?
All right, so you're obviously a pretty busy guy, but what do you do every day to stay consistent, no matter what's going on in your life?
Yeah, it's a great question. Well, maybe let me give you faith for 1 second. Every night, and the kids, the reason I didn't do it last night at the dinner table is I'd spoken to them on FaceTime literally 5 minutes before, but my kids, we were having dinner. My kids called, we FaceTime, and we always say, I make them say the Pledge of Allegiance, and they say three little prayers. We have these cute prayers from when I was a kid. Now I lay me down to sleep. I pray the Lord my soul to keep. If I should die before I wake, I pray the Lord my soul to take, right? And they say this, we call it Four Corners Prayer. I'm not actually sure. I doubt that's the name of it, but there are four corners on my bed, four angels overhead, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. God bless this bed that I lie. And then they say the Lord's Prayer, at the end, and my kids do that. And then every night we ask them, hey, what's one nice thing that somebody did for you? What's one nice thing that you did for somebody else? And it's kind of cute, like seeing them come up with these answers is actually like critical thinking. Oh, I picked up the piece of trash at camp, Normally my son's a little bit of a jerk. He's like the greatest, but he's got like a lot of like Trump in him. And I'm like, Luke, what's one nice thing you did today for somebody? And he's a sweet kid. He's got the greatest heart. And then like we always ask them, like what do you appreciate? And it's always, I appreciate Charlie, I appreciate our dogs, I appreciate our home, I appreciate my room. And it's just super cute. And so like I try and have that level of consistency. Certainly on the family side. And that's hard for me because honestly, I travel so much. This is the least I've ever traveled in my life right now. And I still travel a ton, but I was traveling 210 days a year. And you try and develop, whether it's in person or on Facebook, you try and develop little patterns in your life that I think try and hold your family together in a world where it's just everybody runs very, very fast and, and hard. And so that's what I try and prioritize.
All right, great question, Levi. I'm going to bring up my daughter, Havana, here. I'll bring up Havana. She's like, Dad, stop. Bring up Havana. Now, Havana was born yesterday, I believe. She just turned 21, and she's probably going, Dad, stop.
Good job, Havana.
Dad, don't bring me up here. Dad, what do you... Okay, Havana. Now, Havana is a very studious individual. She studies American history. She loves the Constitution, loves the Bible. Havana, what question would you have for Eric Trump?
Okay, so with your family and your kids, like how have you, I know you said, you pray with them every night and you prioritize those relationships. But how has this experience been for them, and how are you kind of teaching them moving forward, like what God has in their lives in the future? How are you teaching them to, I guess, be strong, but also kind of use that position that they're in? Because obviously that's a very difficult spot in a lot of ways.
Yeah, it's a horribly difficult spot. I don't know if my kids know any different. I remember when my son was born, it was 9/11. He was born 9/12, but Laura went to labor on 9/11. We lived in New York at the time, and we rushed over to the hospital. In the corner room that we were in the hospital, you're looking right down at the World Trade Center. The two lights are going up into the heavens, and I remember being kind of whisked across the city, in armored vehicles, with the service, with lights flashing. And so my kids were born into that, right, that life. Like I think they always had the apparatus around them. We come home and I'll be on TV and they'll ask Laura if they can watch Peppa Pig, and I'm literally like on Fox. I'll be on Hannity running my mouth about God knows what, and Dad, Fox is so boring. I'm like, your mom's on TV. Have a little respect. Like, you're so boring. Can we watch Peppa Pig? And so the point is they're so desensitized to it, right? I think we're probably all so desensitized to it. Sometimes we should be pinching ourselves, and I think we fail too, oftentimes, but they're used to the guns, they're used to the cars, they're used to, I was seeing my little son this not too long ago. He went up the stairs to Air Force One, and welcome to Air Force One, sir. He was captain or one of the military guys, and you're sitting there saying this isn't real life. Like none of this is real life. So I don't know how you ground them in that world. I think they start realizing that they're bigger than something that than themselves, if that makes sense. It's a unique experience that they lived in, and yet you want to try and ground them, but it's kind of hard to ground them in this kind of cocoon of fakeness that we live in. What I will tell you is my son acted up a couple times this week. He didn't run at football practice. He didn't do the laps at football practice, and we found out about it when neither Laura or I were there. And so we came back. He told me about this at dinner. We came back. I made him put on a pair of shoes, take off his shirt, hold his football, and we had him running the development. I literally followed him in a golf cart, right? Like, I mean, these are seriously like, these are Florida problems to have. And this little I'll show you a video on my phone. This little bastard's running up and down this long straight. And he's doing laps. I'm like, you're going to run more. You're not going to run at football practice, so we try. And I have him doing jiu-jitsu a couple times a week. I kind of believe you need to get punched in the face a little bit in life, right? Like, it stinks at the time, but it hardens you up a little bit. I have him on dirt bikes as much as I can, ATVs. And, like, it's not the worst thing to fall off a dirt bike and bleed a little bit. Again, you never want to see something happen to your kids. But at the same time, like, that's life. You're going to bleed a little bit, and you're going to get knocked down and, try and get back up. But I'm keenly aware of, like, the coddled life that they live, and it's hard. It's something I fight every day. By the way, she's got an amazing boyfriend who I was talking to. He's somewhere here.
Nate, he's too good. This is the thing. I'm worrying he might steal her. I'm telling you, I like this guy. He's got the calm. It's this confident, humble. I talk it. It's humble confidence. It's like the handshake. He's humble and he's confident. It's freaking me out a little bit.
And don't let him play any games. I have a 45.
Yeah, don't play any games.
I have a 45 and a shovel. We can make him disappear. Yeah.
Okay.
No
All right.
games.
Now
she's too precious.
Now we got you for 10 more minutes. I've got a few more questions. So thank you guys for coming up here. I want to ask you about running for president in 2028. Now wait a minute. I want to hey, listen. I've thought about it. And I was going to go. So, I don't ask that question, but I thought I'm going to ask that question, and I sincerely want to know: have you ever thought about running for president in 2028, Eric Trump?
All right, let me give you a great story. So, who has that Trump 2028 hat in here? I just signed it.
James does.
Where's James?
Got to get
James.
that,
Go get that Trump 2028 hat.
Oh, you're
Oh,
sick.
don't worry about it. All right, never mind. So anyway, my assistant comes in one day, Kim. She's one of the closest people in my life, and she goes, "We gotta just trigger people today. I'm just in the mood to trigger people." So we've literally sold like 19 million of the Trump "Make America Great Again" hats, right? So we can actually like print them on demand. So she prints a Trump 2028 hat, right? And she's like, "Just throw this on. I'm gonna take a picture of it behind your desk." So I posted it. Elon like immediately reposted it. Everybody starts reposting it. I think it was like my most viral tweet ever. It's just Trump 2028. The media starts freaking melting down. Are you saying that your father's willing to violate the Constitution by running by running for a third term? Are you gonna break the rules? And like literally, as they're sending this, I'm just screenshotting them on my phone, and I'm just I'm circling the things, and I'm like posting them on my Instagram story, right? Because I just think, the media is melting down. Everybody's melting down. Instantly, like we realized how much traction, so we put Trump 2028 hat up on the website, and I think we sold like 35,000 hats in 9 hours or something. Wow. It was so great. And so anyway, this started fizzling out, and the media was like all tweaked out about it. And so my assistant comes up with a slogan, which is Trump 2028. It was rewrite the rules, right? Just because the media was literally asking whether or not we think it violates the Constitution and everything, they'd start tweaking out again. Anyway, no, guys, I did that as a total joke, but it worked, and it pissed off the liberals, and it triggered them, which was my entire intent. But to play a serious question, do I plan on running? No, I don't plan on running. I love our company. I love capitalism. I love our family. I'm proud of what we've done. We did it as a family together. And listen, there's maybe a point in my life. I think we've all developed great voices and are extremely comfortable doing this and have a lot of fun doing it. I think you can probably tell I'm maybe a little bit different than the average politician who's probably wouldn't have said 1/9 of what I said up here in terms of, kind of graininess and grittiness. But I think we have a great feel for this country, and we love this country. I also really do believe in my heart that we all got us here. I don't think without a family effort, and the number one rule of politics is keep family the hell out of politics, right? Had I not been standing on that stage, had Laura not been running the RNC, had Don not been out there every single day, had we not been fighting as a collective, had I not been speaking at all the caucuses, had I not been on every TV show and radio show every day talking about my love for a man who's going to do a great job for this nation, I think arguably the result could have been different. Like the only people we had were ourselves, right? And we fought as a collective, and that was a great experience. But listen, who knows what the future brings? Not ruling it out, but I can tell you, I will not be running in 2028. And what I will tell you is, I hope J.D. Vance does, because he's a phenomenal freaking guy. And all this country needs is competency. You know, they just need government to step the hell out of the way. They need, you know, low taxes, low energy costs, government to be out of the way, safety, prosperity, faith, freedom, First Amendment, and honestly, guys, we'll handle the rest. We're the best capitalists in the world. We're the best entrepreneurs in the world by far. We've got the best system in the world. I know sometimes it feels like it's broken. I talk a lot about how it's broken. But relative to anybody else in the world, we're the best. I mean, go live in Europe. Good luck. Like go live in Africa. Good luck. Go live in South America. I mean, we are the best in the world, guys. And so long as we have a government that just stays out of the way and puts Americans first, guys, we can't be beaten. You know, I mean, China's got a $22.5 trillion economy. They've got 1.4 billion people. We've got a $32 trillion economy, and we're 342 million people in this country. Guys, we're beating the pants off of them, right? We're beating the pants off them. But if we're stupid, we will not beat the pants off of them. They will overtake us so fast our heads are going to spin. And that's why we need competent people in Washington, D.C., letting Americans do what we do best, and we'll stay top of the food chain so long as we do that.
Is Mel K here? Mel, are you here? Mel, are you here? Melatonin? Mel, are you around? Mel? Is Julie Green here? Is Julie Green here? Julie Green? Julie Green, Mel? Julie Green, Mel? Amanda Grace, are you here? Amanda Grace? Okay, Amanda Grace. Amanda, come on up here real quick, Amanda. Okay, now, Amanda, a lot of folks love Amanda. We love Amanda. Amanda, I want to give you an opportunity to ask Eric Trump a question here. Again, lightning round. We're going lightning round here. Lightning round, Amanda Grace. What? We're going lightning. They need to go lightning. You can go whatever speed you want. That's a new
Remember the slogan, rewrite the rules? I'm rewriting the rules of the lightning round.
Hello. For your book, Under Siege, which was the hardest chapter for you to write and why?
Oh, that's a deep question. And I honestly hate answering it. I wrote about my mom's death, which was kind of weird. I haven't really told that story. And it was, she's a good woman. She was tough as hell. Sometimes she made my father look like a nice, innocent, you want to talk about, this was a woman from communist Czechoslovakia who was, professional ski racer, but also one of the top models. Amazing. She was kind of this, a woman who could do it all and did do it all in a great way. Great mom. I was telling them a story. She didn't come to my high school graduation, right? And this is not because she didn't like me, but she always said, and this is completely controversial, and I don't even agree with it, but Monaco Grand Prix, which is the big Formula One. She's European, right? And so they really like our Super Bowl is like a minor fraction of what their car racing is over there. Like they all freaking love it. And she's like, honey, your graduation's on Grand Prix weekend. Every freaking moron graduates from high school. Like I'm going with my friends to the Grand Prix. I go, Mom, what the hell? Like DJT shows up. He's like, where's your mom? I'm like, she's literally at the Grand Prix. He's like, yeah, go figure. But she was an amazing woman. She was tough as hell. Manners, respect, work, no putting up with anything. I mean, anything that we did, her response to anything we wanted was, too freaking bad, get over it. But she didn't use, that was her response to everything in life. And she was a great woman, but she died too young, too tragically. Some substance abuse in there, and so yeah, that was probably the most difficult chapter, only because it's deeply personal, right? It's harder to compartmentalize that kind of stuff than it is kind of a political siege.
Now I want to ask. We have time for one more question. Thank you, Amanda. Thank you so much. Here, Keith. Where's
By
Keith
the way,
at?
Amanda's the greatest. Just so you know, we love her to death.
Let's hear for Amanda.
We're a big fan of Amanda's.
Final question. Bringing up Keith and Martha. This guy is the president of Magadonia, California. There is an outpost of people in California that are absolutely obsessed with saving our country. This guy owns a radiator shop called Visalia, radiator.com. If you're anywhere within a 12-hour driving radius, it's worth the drive. Go to VisaliaRadiator.com. They also have a restaurant called Crawdaddy's. He and his wonderful wife, they run that. Crawdaddy's. If you go to Google, look up Crawdaddy's. Type it into Google real quick, Sean. Pull it up on the big screen. Pull it up so everyone can see it online. Everybody go there right now. Get the Visalia Radiator and Crawdaddy's. It's a restaurant right there. He's great friends with Devin Nunes. Devin Nunes calls me up. He says, click.
Eric, I built that building. It was one of the finest achievements of my life with my brother. So I love the Trump family for what you guys build.
And Devin's a great friend of mine.
Hey, I got to tell you, Martha and I have been to Trump Las Vegas. We also went to Trump Tower and had a croissant sandwich. If you ever get a chance to go to Trump properties, go. It's not that expensive. Now, the hotel was expensive, but it was worth every dime. The finish work is fabulous. And this is what I want to ask you. You're building this stuff all over the world. Do you have a team in place of designers and the finish people? Because the finish work is second to none anywhere all around the world.
Yeah, we do it all in-house.
Except Crawdaddy's in Visalia.
Crawdaddy's is better. I like it. Crawdaddy's is better than Turnberry.
I'll tell you, I've been to both. I've been to both, and it's at that same level. It's very competitive there, so you'll need to go
Your
there.
check is in the mail, pal. Your check's in the mail.
Okay.
Yeah, first of all, listen, we're very, as macro as we can be, we're very micro people. I can tell you the HVAC system in every building that we have. I can tell you every crawl space. I can tell you every mechanical closet. I can tell you where all the electrical feeds come in on every one of our properties. Like, really down to granularity, right? Because we built all of them, we care. But we're also very, very anal people about finish, about fit and finish. Our punch list process is absolutely insane. It's something we take a lot of pride on. I can't tell you how many rolls of blue tape that, I'm a contractor's worst nightmare. I go into the first room, and you always do this on the first room. So anytime you ever have to punch list something, go into the first room and just do it times 10. And it sets the expectation for the rest of the project, where you'll realize is the next room that you go into, you'll have 1/10 the amount of punch lists because they realize how anal you're going to be in the whole process. But no, we do it in-house, and we take great pride doing it in-house. We've got construction guys who started, again, as guys that were wearing boots. Now, a lot of those guys
they travel all over the world to do the finish work and the design.
Yeah, listen, you have to sub some of it out. You can't take a property in Scotland and have a finish crew from the U.S. go in there. It's different hardware. It's different systems. One's in metric. One's in standard, right? In the U.S. you use sheetrock. In Scotland you use lath and plaster, right? It's in America you have door hardware. In Scotland you have ironmongery, which is the crazy word that they use for door hardware, right? So you have different standards, but at the end of the day, typically what you do is you come up with a model room, and you refine that model room, and you refine it, and you refine it, and you refine it, and you get it perfect. And then once you have that, you kind of roll it out to the rest. So, we're very, I can't tell you how many model rooms we do. We'll take like a standard base room in one of our hotels, and oftentimes we'll build it to the exact dimension off-site somewhere, and we'll get it right. You sit there and you say, okay, your nightstand is 30 inches off the floor. Your light switch has to be 32 inches off the floor, so it's right there. You don't want it to be 28 inches off the floor because it's going to be behind your nightstand. You don't want it to be 38 inches because you're going to be reaching out from bed going like this, which is inconvenient, right? And so we'll go through all of those. Where should your USB charger be? Where should this be? How can we build in the casework? So we really do refine products by, and then obviously we have a team that does that. And then once it's perfect, we'll roll that out, obviously, throughout an entire structure. But no, it's something that we take very, very seriously. Most of the big hotel companies will come up with a set of standards. Your ceilings must be 9 foot high, and your bathroom must have this crappy tile in it, and and your faucet must be this. And it's why most of the companies, if you're in a Marriott, the Marriott you stay in London is the same Marriott you'll stay in Tulsa, which is the same Marriott you'll stay in Japan. They're just very monolithic, right? We do the exact opposite approach. No two properties that we have will ever look like one another.
I hear you need to buy a hotel here in Tulsa called the Mayo.
He said, make the Mayo Hotel great again.
So at like 11 o'clock last night, I went up to the roof of the Mayo Hotel. The guys were super nice there. I met the owner this morning, actually, but we were literally standing under. What happened?
If you picture that
what happened?
Name, you change out the Mayo sign, we put the Trump there. I was telling him this morning, it would look, if you could just made that change the Mayo for the Trump right there. Could you picture it? Could you picture it on the roof?
We could do that. We could do that.
Okay.
So you want the Trump sign where the Mayo sign is right now?
Yeah, just swap it out.
Is this going to be controversial? Am I getting myself as seriously hot water?
No, I just was throwing it out.
Now, guys, remember one thing. Listen, Mayo's been here for like 100 years, right? But Trump did win Oklahoma.
Yes.
All 77 counties.
Yes.
Three times in a row. So 2016,
Yes.
2020, and 2024.
Yes. Yes. There's a certain momentum.
You know, there's a great meme that goes around social media. I see, like, you know, every couple months, and it's like, no one's perfect politically. And then they have a little picture of Oklahoma. And Oklahoma has like a little caption, like a little bubble coming out of it. And it says, "Hold my beer." And it just says, 77 times 3. So 77 counties, you know, three times in a row. So Oklahoma is perfect. And no, we'd love to. The owner of the Mayo Hotel is a great guy. I met him this morning. Super nice guy. And but I was proud to stand under that sign.
Yes.
I walked up those stairs onto the roof. And,
yes.
And I sent Clay a picture last night, like 11 o'clock.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, it's the latest I've ever been up. It's crazy, 11 o'clock. It's wild. I haven't been on that ride for a while. Okay, we're gonna do a group photo. We're gonna do a group photo, and we've talked about, we've role played it, we've worked through it, we've done the things. So we're gonna make that happen. But first, let's put our hands together for Eric Trump, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Eric Trump, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, one more time, Eric Trump.
Thank you, guys.
Okay, so what we're going to do, we've talked about it, we've role-played it. I don't want to screw it up. We're going to move these podiums, and I need, James, can you move this podium over here in this region here? We're bringing in a ladder of integrity. I want every single person in the photo, so if you're up there, we kind of lose you if you're over here on this side of the post. So yours should be good right there. But, Andrew, it's really important we frame it up. I don't want anyone to miss out on this. So, Andrew, you have to tell us where we're at. And then if you're in my family, a.k.a. you're part of the Clark family, we're going to have you right over here. If you work in the office or on the office team or you are a featured presenter, I brought you up, find a way to get up here. And the rule is if we can see you, if you can see Andrew, he can see you. Make sense? If you can't see Andrew, he can't see you. So here we go. We're getting in here. Okay, and tell us where we need to squeeze in more. Andrew, you got to just direct us. I don't want anyone missing out. Can you see the people upstairs? Can that happen? Can you see the people? We need you guys in a little more. Okay, yeah, okay. What about over here? Can we see over here? A little more, guys, a little more. Maybe all the way just right underneath the crow. Okay, you got that? What about the third deck? Can you see these people in the third deck? Okay, everybody, we can see it all, okay? And we're going to do 5 photos because I'm going to jack up one of them, okay? So everybody get yourself psychological. The first one, we're trying to be professional, whatever that means. We're trying to be professional. Here we go. Ready? 3, 2, 1, and... Got it? Okay, photo number 2. Trying to be professional. Just holding it together, trying to be professional. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. We're smiling like Eric just bought the Mayo. We do MAGA on 3. We're doing MAGA. Okay, on 3, we're doing MAGA on 3. Okay, here we go. All right, wait. 1, 2, 3, MAGA. Now, one more. Now, this is the one where you are super excited. You won the trip to Mar-a-Lago. You bought the book. It's a life-changing thing. You're like, yes, I won. I never win anything. I want that kind of energy. Okay, here we go. 3, 2, 1, and... All right, folks, one more time. Let's hear for Eric Trump, ladies and gentlemen. Eric Trump. Yes, 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 and yes.
Okay, Aaron Antis, guess who's joining us for the December 4th and 5th, 2025 Thrivetime Show Business Growth Workshop? Whoa. Ooh, Santa Claus? No, we will not be joined by Santa Claus, but we will be joined by Eric Trump, the son of the 45th and now 47th President of these United States. And yes, Amanda Grace will be in the place. And yes, Dr. Stella Manuel will be there, so you know it will go well. Yes, we have Mel K in the house. Pastor Phil and Tammy Hotzenpiller will be hosting this event at their beautiful church right there in sunny Anaheim, California. Yes, folks, make this a December to remember.
You surprised?
Make this a December to remember and join us at the 2-day interactive business growth workshops. For over 20 years, folks, I've been hosting business growth workshops where we're going to teach you marketing, sales systems, human resources, accounting, social media marketing, branding, sales training, search engine optimization, accounting, workflow development, financial management, all this and more. How do you get tickets? Go to thrivetimeshow.com. Again, how do you get tickets? Go to thrivetimeshow.com and request tickets today.
And now Eric Trump, people don't know this, but the Trump organization has thousands of employees. There's not 50 employees. The Trump organization, again, most people don't know this, but the Trump organization has thousands of employees. And while Donald J. Trump was the 45th president of these United States, and this just in from our home office, President Donald J. Trump is now the 47th president of these United States as well.
I'm Ron Burgundy.
He needed someone to run the companies for him. And so the man that runs the Trump organization for Donald J. Trump, as he was the 45th president of the United States and now the 47th president of the United States, is Eric Trump. And so Eric Trump is here to talk about time management, promoting from within, marketing, branding, quality control, sales systems, workflow design, workflow mapping, how to build. I mean, everything that you see, the Trump hotels, the Trump golf courses, all their products, the man who manages billions of dollars of real estate and thousands of employees is here to teach us how to do it.
You are talking about one of the greatest brands on the planet from a business standpoint.
Right.
I mean, who else has been able to create a brand like the Trump brand? I mean, look at it. And this is the man behind the business for the last pretty much since 2015. He's been the man behind it. So you're talking, we're into 9 going into 10 years of him running it, and we get to tap into that knowledge. That's going to be amazing.
Now, think about this for a second.
Nothing is over until we decide it is. Was it over when the Germans bombed Pearl Harbor?
German? Forget it, he's rolling.
And it ain't over now.
The lineup continues to grow, and this is how we do our tickets here at the Thrivetime Show. If you want to get a VIP ticket, you can absolutely do it. It's $500 for a VIP ticket. We've always done it that way. Now, if you want to take a general admission ticket, it's $250 or whatever price you want to pay. And the reason why I do that, and the reason why we do that is because we want to make our events affordable for everybody. I grew up without money. I totally understand what it's like to be in a tight spot. So if you want to attend, it's $250 or whatever price you want to pay. That's how I do it. And it's $500 for a VIP ticket. Now, we only have limited seating here with...
There's a lot of togetherness and closeness, camaraderie.
So again, if you want to get tickets for this event, all you have to do is go to thrivetimeshow.com. Go to thrivetimeshow.com. When you go to thrivetimeshow.com, you'll go there, you'll request a ticket, boom. Or if you want to text me, if you want a little bit faster service, you say, I want you to call me right now. Just text my number. It's my cell phone number, my personal cell phone number. We'll keep that private between you, me, everybody. We'll keep that private. And anybody. Don't share that with anybody except for everybody. That's my private cell phone number. It's 918-851-0102. 918-851-0102. I know we have a lot of Spanish-speaking people that attend these conferences. And so to be bilingually sensitive, my cell phone number is 918-851-0102.
That is not actually bilingual. That's just saying Juan for a one. It's not the same thing.
I think you're attacking me. Now, let's talk about this. Now, what kind of stuff will you learn at the Thrivetime Show workshop? So, Aaron, you've been to many of these over the past 7-8 years. So let's talk about it. I'll tee up the thing, and then you tell me what you're going to learn here, okay?
Okay.
You're going to learn marketing and branding. What are we going to learn about marketing and branding?
Oh, yeah. We're going to dive into, so many people say, I got to get my brand known out there, like the Trump brand, right? You want to get that brand out there. It's like, how do I actually make people know what my business is and make it a household name? You're going to learn some intricacies of how you can do that.
You're going to learn sales. So many people struggle to sell something. This just in, your business will go to hell if you can't sell. So we're going to teach you sales. We're going to teach you search engine optimization, how to come up top in the search engine results. We're going to teach you how to manage people. Aaron, you have managed, no exaggeration, hundreds of people throughout your career and thousands of contractors. And most people struggle with managing people. Why does everybody have to learn how to manage people?
Well, because first of all, you either have great people or you have people who suck. And so it can be a challenge. Learning how to work with a large group of people and get everybody pulling in the same direction can be a challenge. But if you have the right systems, you have the right processes, and you're really good at selecting great ones, and we have a process we teach about how to find great people. When you start with the people who have a great attitude, they're teachable, they're driven, all of those things, then, you can get those people all pulling in the same direction.
So we're going to teach you branding, marketing, sales, search engine optimization. We're going to teach you accounting. We're going to teach you personal finance, how to manage your finance. We're going to teach you time management. How do you manage your time? How do you get more done during a typical day? How do you build an organization if you're not organized? How do you do organization? How do you build an org chart? Everything that you need to know to start and grow a business will be taught during this 2-day interactive business workshop. Now, let me tell you how the format is set up here. And again, folks, this is a 2-day interactive 15. Think about this, folks. It's 2 days. Each day it starts at 7 a.m. and it goes until 5 p.m. So from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m., 2 days. It's a 2-day interactive workshop. The way we do it is we do a 30-minute teaching session, and then we break for 15 minutes for a question and answer session. So, Aaron, what kind of great stuff happens during that 15-minute question and answer session after every teaching session?
I actually think it's the best part about the workshops, because here's what happens. I've been to lots of these things over the years. I've paid many thousands of dollars to go to them. And you go in there and they talk in vague generalities, and they're constantly upselling you for something, trying to get you to buy this thing or that thing or this program or this membership. And you leave not getting your very specific questions answered about your business or your employees or what you're doing on your marketing. And what's awesome about this is we literally answer every single question that any person asks, and it's very specific to what your business is.
And what we do is we allow you as the attendee to write your questions on the whiteboard.
Yep.
And then we literally, as you mentioned, we answer every single question on the whiteboard. And then we take a 15-minute break to stretch. And this is also your opportunity to meet some of the great speakers like Pastor Dave Scarlett. You could meet Mel Kay. You could meet Amanda Grace. You could meet Dr. Stella Emanuel. You could just grab a coffee. You could find some alone time. You could get lost in the bathroom. You could try to go and get a photo with one of the speakers. You could try to photobomb a photo where someone else is getting a photo with the speakers. You could go attempt to find your phone, wallet, and your keys.
My phone, wallet, keys, yeah, phone, wallet, keys.
Whoa. Now that's a good idea.
Well, it's going to be great. And then you're in the company of hundreds of entrepreneurs. So there's not a lot of people in America today. In fact, there's less than 10 million people today, according to U.S. Debt Clock, that identify as being self-employed. So if you have a country with 350 million people, that means you have less than 3% of our population that's even self-employed. Yeah. So you only have 3 out of every 100 people in America that are self-employed to begin with. And when Inc. magazine reports that 96% of businesses fail by default, you have a 1 out of 1,000 chance of succeeding in the game of business. But yet the average client that you and I work with, we can typically double this. And this is no hyperbole, no exaggeration. And I have thousands of testimonials to back this up. We have thousands of testimonials to back it up. But when you work with a home builder, when I work with a business owner, we can typically double the size of the company within 24 months.
Yeah.
Double. And you say double? Yeah, there's businesses that we have tripled. There's businesses we've grown 8x. There's so many examples you can see at thrivetimeshow.com. But again, this is the most interactive, best business workshop on the planet. This is objectively the highest rated and most reviewed business workshop on the planet. Whoa. Add to that, Eric Trump, the man that runs the Trump Organization. You say, Clay, I'm not going to get a ticket unless you give me more. Okay, fine. We're going to serve you the same meal both days. True story. We cater in the food, and because I keep it simple, I literally bring in the same food both days for lunch.
Who's with me? Let's go! Come on!
It was an incredible Mexican restaurant. That's going to happen. Someone says, I want more. This is not enough.
Give me more.
Okay, I'm not going to mention their names right now because I'm working on it behind the scenes here. But we just continue to add more and more success stories. So if you're out there today and you want to change your life, you want to give yourself an incredible gift, you want a life-changing experience, you want to learn how to start and grow a company, go to thrivetimeshow.com. Go there right now. thrivetimeshow.com. Request a ticket for the 2-day interactive event. Again, the event's going to be on December 4th and 5th in sunny Anaheim, California. Great weather. Make this a December to remember. Eric Trump, the man who leads the Trump Organization. It's going to be a blasty blast. There's no upsells. Aaron, I could not be more excited about this event.
I think it is incredible. And there's somebody out there right now, you're watching and you're like, but I already signed up for this incredible other program called Smoke Your Way to Thin. You think that's going to change your life? I promise you this will be 10 times better than that.
Looks like I picked the wrong week to quit smoking.
Now, don't do the Smoke Your Way to Thin conference. That is, I've tried it. Don't do it.
Yeah, chain smoking is not a viable. I mean, it is life-changing. It is life-changing. If you become a chain smoker, it is life-changing.
Not the best weight loss program, though.
Right, really. So if you're looking to have life-changing results in a way that won't cause you to have a stoma, get your tickets at thrivetimeshow.com. Again, that's Aaron Antis. I'm Clay Clark, and reminding you and inviting you to come out to the 2-day interactive Thrive Time Show workshop in beautiful Anaheim, California.
I'm Kay Dixon. I'm from Sarasota, Florida. I'm Vince Suzuki, also from Sarasota, Florida.
He dragged me here.
Yep, was here in 2018, and it changed my business, and I built another business, and now I'm here to do it again with this business. So.
Yeah, I'm a brand strategist, and it's been really easy to go to a lot of events like this and just leave really in your head like what to do next. And already there's the strategic, step-by-step, real-life implementation that we can do to our business, and I'm so grateful to be here and very excited that Eric Trump is here, and that is going to be epic.
Hi, my name is Erica, and it has been amazing being here. The conference, I'm learning so much. Everything is perfect for me.
But that Clay Clark, man, he is one character.
It's a good word for him, character. Yeah, that is it.
Good, driven, smart. And I've never met a guy who was so hyper all the time. He's doing so much good. And then I met his mother, and she just says, she just lets him be Clay Clark. I mean, so he's endorsed by his mother, and he's doing magnificent work. So it was great meeting you out there and all the people that he surrounds himself with. Clay Clark starts his days at 5 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, it's incredible. Yeah, he's a machine. He's a machine.
Yeah. But I have problems with my company starting at 9 o'clock. Yes, hundreds of people showing up at 5 a.m. in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Man, he's a leader of a leader. He's a fantastic young man.
No, he is.
And the greatest thing that will come out of all of it, aside from winning the presidency of the United States, we'll get to that in a second, was an everlasting friendship between Clay and I, because I'm telling you, there's not too many people in the world that have this man's backbone and his tenaciousness and his perseverance. And so, buddy, I love you. And to General Flynn, thank you. You guys are incredible. You guys are incredible warriors. You guys are incredible, incredible warriors. So thank you, my friend.
Clay Clark is here somewhere. Where's my buddy Clay? Clay's the greatest. I met his goats today. I met his dogs. I met his chickens. I saw his compound. He's like the greatest guy.
I ran from his goats, his chickens, his dogs.
So this guy's like the greatest marketer you've ever seen, right? His entire life, Clay Clark, his entire life is marketing.
4,000% from February to February. Now I can better that. Okay, Clay, I don't think you know this. I don't think you know this. I'm pinching myself, and if I cry, forgive me. In the last 2.5 days, we have bettered our entire month of February in the last 2.5 days. So, and the phone's blowing up. Everything's just blowing up. You're right. It is like a rocket ship. So we're pinching ourselves, actually.
I learned at the Academy, Kings Point in New York, acta non verba. Watch what a person does, not what they say.
We're going to move into action mode here. So for anybody out there, if you say, I would like to go to Mar-a-Lago. Now, Jackson, you know, this just in, they raided Mar-a-Lago. You know about this? This just in. And so some people say, that wasn't cool. I didn't like that. But, so a lot of people out there, we want to kind of stick it to the New York Times. We want Eric to become the #1 best-selling author in America. And we kind of also want to go to Mar-a-Lago and check it out. We've never been there before. So what we're going to do is, for anybody right now, if you go to Amazon right now and you buy a copy of Eric Trump's book, Under Siege, My Family's Fight to Save Our Nation. So you go to Amazon right now, you buy a copy of the book, and you just text a screenshot of your proof of purchase to my cell phone number, 918-851-0102. So text my number, 918-851-0102. So again, step one, you go here to Amazon.com, you buy a copy of the book, Under Siege, then you just text a screenshot of your purchase, your proof of purchase. You text my number, 918-851-0102. You have a chance to win a dinner at Mar-a-Lago with Eric Trump and myself, and there's more.
And by the way, Mar-a-Lago right there, just for your viewers, it's the most exclusive private club in the world. $2 million to get into, just base membership fee. And I promise we're going to make your night absolutely incredible. Clay goes, listen, why don't we do this? Why don't we put it out to all the amazing Reawaken people, all the people who supported us all around the country, all around, at every one of these conferences, who adore your family. We've got to beat the New York Times. The New York Times is going to do everything they can. Even though we're #1 on Amazon right now, we just hit #1 this morning. New York Times is going to do everything they can to keep you from being a #1 bestseller. You know that. I know that. You know the games that they're willing to play. But Clay goes, why don't we do a couple of things? First of all, love having dinner with Clay. He's the greatest. Second of all, why don't we bring one of the amazing people that I guarantee you I've been in front of at all these events. Why don't we bring a couple to dinner at Mar-a-Lago? And I said, absolutely, consider it done. So I said, they have to text you, Clay. They can't text me because we'll be getting 1,000 of these. But yeah, go buy a book, text Clay, and we'll set up a dinner. I'll make sure you guys have the absolute time of your life.
Now, I'm going to pull this up again one more time here, Jackson, because I think sometimes I'm a poor communicator, and I need to work on communicating more effectively. So you go to Amazon. That's step one, okay?
Yes.
You buy a copy of the book, Pop Quiz. What book?
Under Siege.
You buy a copy of Under Siege, and then you screenshot a picture of that, and you text my phone number. It's 918-851-0102. And folks, that is my cell phone number. So we'll keep that private between you and me and everybody. And then when you text that to me, you have a chance to win a backstage pass to the actual in-person business workshop. That's a business growth workshop, December 4th and 5th, featuring Eric Trump in Anaheim, California. And you have a chance to win dinner with Eric Trump and myself at Mar-a-Lago. Now, someone says, when does this contest end? Now, Eric, your birthday was hijacked, okay? So your birthday was hijacked. January 6th is this man's birthday. He now has to switch his birthday because no one wants to talk about his birthday on January 6th anymore. So we're going to run this promotion until November 5th. That's my birthday. So we're gonna,
no. So we're going to run it till October 14th.
October 14th.
Has to be pre-sale.
This just in. It has to be between October 14th. That's why we're clarifying. So between now and October 14th. Now, folks, let me just clarify this real quick here. So make sure I'm leaving you with some good clarity here. One, you buy a copy of Under Siege on Amazon. That's the step one.
Yep.
Step two, you text a screenshot of that purchase to my cell phone number, 918-851-0102. Three, you have to do that before October 14th. Before October 14th. This just in. It has to be before October 14th. And you have a chance to win a backstage pass to the upcoming business workshop. You have a chance to have dinner with Eric Trump at Mar-a-Lago. And I want to tell you some benefits of buying the book. One, I've read the book. It's incredible. If you're a father out there and you want to learn about mentoring your kids, it's a great book. If you want to learn about American history, it's a great book. If you want to make America great again, it is a great book. It's a book you got to have.
Now here is just a quick editor's note. You do not have to buy a copy of Eric Trump's book, Under Siege, to be entered into the drawing. Whoa. Just text the number. All you have to do is just text the number, 918-851-0102, and you will be entered into the drawing for a chance to win a copy of Eric Trump's book, Under Siege, and a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to hang out with Eric Trump and Clay Clark at Mar-a-Lago, and to win a backstage pass at the upcoming ThriveTimeShow.com 2-day interactive business workshop. Again, you do not have to buy a copy of the book to be entered into the drawing, but it would be great if you'd buy a copy of the book because that would make sense. However, that is all, and now back to the interview.
Also, Eric, a final question here for you. You are donating a portion of the proceeds to support Charlie Kirk in his continued mission there. Could you tell us about that briefly there, and then we'll let you get back to what you're doing today, sir?
Yeah, well, I was on with Benny Johnson. Benny Johnson was a great friend of Charlie Kirk's, as you know, and you know Benny, and Benny's a very good friend of mine. And, Kash Patel is a very good friend of mine and was a very good friend of Charlie's. I mean, you watch everybody that's up on that stage every single day as they got to the bottom of exactly what happened, and they brought justice to what happened, or are trying to bring justice to what happened. And it's kind of unthinkable, but St. Jude, and I talk a lot about St. Jude in this book because that's been, fighting pediatric cancer has always been a cornerstone of my life. But Charlie truly was the epitome of being under siege, not only in the movement that he helped create, but obviously in how his life was savagely taken. My book came out 2.5 days before Charlie's assassination. You better believe he would have been the final chapter of this book as just another illustration of what these people will do at any cost to try and win, because it's who they are. It's the not so tolerant left. And we can never let, our voices be extinguished, Clay. You stood on that stage as well as anybody I've ever seen stand on a stage. You did our Reawaken events all across the country, which you funded out of your back pocket because you believed in America. You believed in a greater country, and you were on that stage every single day. I was on that stage with you every single day, and I was on the Turning Point stage with Charlie all the time, and I was on stages across the country and 3 campaigns. I've stood on thousands of them. And honestly, they don't want us to stand on that stage. That's why they're sending bullets from rooftops. They don't want us to go out there with a bullhorn and have loud independent thought. When they see these beautiful arenas full of kids and they're cheering, they're celebrating, they're holding American flags, they don't want that. And so they want to silence us. They want to silence our voice. That's why they killed Charlie. That's why they tried to kill my father. That's why they sent 112 subpoenas to me. That's why they wanted me in jail and my father in jail and Don in jail. That's why they made up the hoaxes. They wanted to see us destroyed and gone with no voice, with no money, with no company, with no political aspirations, gone. And we can't allow that to happen. And so we need to make sure that Turning Point continues. We need to make sure incredible patriots like you continue to spread, sensible speech, pro-American values, pro-religious, pro-constitutional values. And that's why I want to donate the funds to Turning Point. I want to donate, a portion of the funds to Turning Point, because we can't allow anarchy to win, and we can't allow voices to be deleted, and we need to keep Charlie's legacy going.
Eric Trump, thank you so much for joining us. Pastor Jackson, thank you so much for joining us.
Absolutely.
Eric, have a great day. We really do appreciate you. Everybody go out there and buy that book, Under Siege. It's not too early to buy your Christmas gifts. And if you have a Democrat in your family, buy them a copy as well. Eric Trump, take care.
Thanks, guys. See you later.
But that Clay Clark, man, he is one character.
It's a good word for him. Character. Yeah, that is it.
Good, driven, smart. And I've never met a guy who was so hyper all the time. He's doing so much good. And then I met his mother, and she just says, she just lets him be Clay Clark. I mean, so he's endorsed by his mother, and he's doing magnificent work. So it was great meeting you out there and all the people that he surrounds himself with. Clay Clark starts his days at 5 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, it's incredible. Yeah, he's a machine. He's a machine.
Yeah. But I have problems with my company starting at 9 o'clock. Yes, hundreds of people showing up at 5 a.m. in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Man, he's a leader of a leader. He's a fantastic young man.
No, he is.
Clay Clark is here somewhere. Where's my buddy Clay? Clay's the greatest. I met his goats today. I met his dogs. I met his chickens. I saw his compound. He's like the greatest guy.
I ran from his goats, his chickens, his dogs.
So this guy's like the greatest marketer you've ever seen, right? His entire life, Clay Clark, his entire life is marketing.
4,000% from February to February. Now I can better that. Okay, Clay, I don't think you know this. I'm pinching myself, and if I cry, forgive me. In the last 2.5 days, we have bettered our entire month of February in the last 2.5 days. So, and the phone's blowing up. Everything's just blowing up. You're right. It is like a rocket ship. So we're pinching ourselves, actually.
I learned at the academy, Kings Point in New York, acta non verba. Watch what a person does, not what they say.
Hey, I'm Ryan Wimpy. I'm originally from Tulsa, born and raised here. I've definitely learned a lot about life design and making sure the business serves you. The linear workflow for us and getting everything out on paper and documented is really important. Like we have workflows that are kind of all over the place, so having linear workflow and seeing that mapped out on multiple different boards is pretty awesome. That's really helpful for me. The atmosphere here is awesome. I definitely just stared at the walls, figuring out how to make my facility look like this place. This place rocks. It's invigorating. The walls are super, it's just very cool. The atmosphere is cool. The people are nice. It's a pretty cool place to be. Very good learning atmosphere. I literally want to model it and steal everything that's here at this facility and basically create it just on our business side. Clay is hilarious. I literally laughed so hard that I started having tears yesterday. And we've been learning a lot, which, we've been sitting here, we've been learning a lot, and so the humor definitely helps. It breaks it up. But the content is awesome, off the charts, and it's very interactive. You can raise your hand. It's not like you're just listening to the professor speak, The wizard teaches, but the wizard interacts and he takes questions, so that's awesome. If you're not attending the conference, you're missing about 3/4 to half of your life. You're definitely it's probably worth a couple $1,000s. So you're missing the thought process of someone that's already started like 9 profitable businesses. So not only is it a lot of good information, but just getting in the thought process of Clay Clark or Dr. Zellner or any of the other coaches, getting in their thought process of how they're starting all these businesses, to me, just that is priceless. That's money. Well, we're definitely not getting upsold here. My wife and I have attended conferences where where it was great information and then they upsold us like half the conference, and I don't want to like bang my head into a wall, and she's like banging her head into the chair in front of her. Like, it's good information, but we're like, oh my gosh, I want to strangle you. Shut up and go with the presentation that we paid for. And that's not here. There's no upsells or anything, so that's awesome. I hate that. It makes me angry. So glad that's not happening. So the cost of this conference is quite a bit cheaper than business college. I went to a small private liberal arts college and got a degree in business. And I didn't learn anything like they're teaching here. I didn't learn linear workflows. I learned stuff that I'm not using, and I haven't been using for the last 9 years. So what they're teaching here is actually way better than what I got at business school. And I went what was actually ranked as a very good business school. I would definitely recommend that people would check out the Thrive 15 conference. The information that you're going to get is just very, very beneficial, and the mindset that you're going to get, that you're going to leave with, is just absolutely worth the price of a little bit of money and a few days worth of your time.
I'm Rachel with Tip Top Canine, and we just want to give a huge thank you to Clay and Vanessa Clark.
Hey guys, I'm Ryan with Tip Top Canine. Just want to say a big thank you to Thrive 15. Thank you to Make Your Life Epic. We love you guys, we appreciate you, and really just appreciate how far you've taken us.
This is our old house. Right, this is where we used to live a few years ago. This is our old neighborhood. See? It's nice, right?
So this is my old van and our old school marketing, and this is our old team. And by team, I mean it's me and another guy.
This is our new house with our new neighborhood. This is our new van with our new marketing, and this is our new team. We went from 4 to 14, and I took this beautiful photo. We worked with several different business coaches in the past, and they were all about helping Ryan sell better and just teaching sales, which is awesome, but Ryan is a really great salesman. So we didn't need that. We needed somebody to help us get everything that was in his head out into systems, into manuals and scripts, and actually build a team. So now that we have systems in place, we've gone from 1 to 10 locations in only a year.
In October 2016, we grossed 13 grand for the whole month. Right now it's 2018, the month of October. It's only the 22nd. We've already grossed a little over 50 grand for the whole month, and we still have time to go. We're just thankful for you, thankful for Thrive and your mentorship, and we're really thankful that you guys have helped us to grow a business that we run now instead of the business running us. Just thank you times 1,000.
So we really just want to thank you, Clay, and thank you, Vanessa, for everything you've done, everything you've helped us with. We love you guys.
Hello, my name is Charles Kolaw with Kolaw Fitness. Today I want to tell you a little bit about Clay Clark and how I know Clay Clark. Clay Clark has been my business coach since 2017. He's helped us grow from 2 locations to now 6 locations. We're planning to do 7 locations in 7 years and then franchise. And Clay has done a great job of helping us navigate anything that has to do with like running the business, building the systems, the checklists, the workflows, the audits, how to navigate lease agreements, how to buy property, how to work with brokers and builders. This guy's just amazing. He's this kind of guy has worked in every single industry. He's written books with like Lee Cockrell, head of Disney, with the 40,000 cast members. He's friends with like Mike Lindell. He does Reawaken America tours where he does these tours all across the country where 10,000 or more people show up to some of these tours. On the day-to-day, he does anywhere from about 160 companies. He's at the top. He has a team of business coaches, videographers, and graphic designers and web developers, and they run 160 companies every single week. So think of this guy with a team of business coaches running 160 companies. So in the weekly, he's running 160 companies. Every 6 to 8 weeks, he's doing Reawaken America tours. Every 6 to 8 weeks, he's also doing business conferences where 200 people show up, and he teaches people a 13-step proven system that he's done and worked with billionaires, helping them grow their companies. So I've seen guys from startups go from startup to being multimillionaires, teaching people how to get time freedom and financial freedom through the system. Critical thinking, document creation, putting it into organizing everything in their head to building into a franchisable, scalable business. Like one of his businesses has like 500 franchises. That's just one of the companies or brands that he works with. So amazing guy, Elon Musk kind of like smart guy. He kind of comes off sometimes as socially awkward, but he's so brilliant and he's taught me so much. When I say that, like Clay is like, he doesn't care what people think when you're talking to him. He cares about where you're going in your life and where he can get you to go. And that's what I like most about him. He's like a good coach. A coach isn't just making you feel good all the time. A coach is actually helping you get to the best you. And Clay has been an amazing business coach. Through the course of that, we became friends. I was really most impressed with him is when I was shadowing him one time. We went into a business deal and listened to it. I got to shadow and listen to it. And when we walked out, I knew that he could make millions on the deal. And they were super excited about working with him. And he told me, he's like, I'm not going to touch it. I'm going to turn it down because he knew it was going to harm the common good of people in the long run. And the guy's integrity just really wowed me. It brought tears to my eyes to see that this guy, his highest desire was to do what's right. And anyways, just an amazing man. So anyways, impacted me a lot. He's helped navigate anytime I've got nervous or worried about how to run the company or, navigating competition and an economy that's like, I remember we got closed down for 3 months. He helped us navigate on how to stay open, how to get back open, how to just survive through all the COVID shutdowns, lockdowns, because our clubs were all closed for 3 months and you have $350,000 of bills you've got to pay, and we have no accounts receivable. He helped us navigate that, and of course we were conservative enough that we could afford to take that on for a period of time. But it was, anyways, great man. I'm very impressed with him. So Clay, thank you for everything you're doing, and I encourage you, if you haven't ever worked with Clay, work with Clay. He's going to help magnify you, and there's nobody I have ever met that has the ability to work as hard as he does. He probably sleeps 4, maybe 6 hours a day, and literally the rest of the time he's working, and he can outwork everybody in the room every single day, and he loves it. So anyways, this is Charles Kola with Kola Fitness. Thank you, Clay, and anybody out there that's wanting to work with Clay, it's a great opportunity to ever work with him. So you guys have a blessed one. This is Charles Kola. We'll see you guys. Bye-bye.
Hi, I'm Aaron Antis with Shaw Homes. I first heard about Clay through a mortgage lender here in town who had told me what a great job he had been doing for them, and I actually noticed he was driving a Lamborghini all of a sudden, so I was willing to listen. In my career, I've sold a little over $800 million in real estate. So honestly, I thought I kind of knew everything about marketing and homes. And then I met Clay, and my perception of what I knew and what I could do definitely changed. After doing $800 million in sales over a 15-year career, I really thought I knew what I was doing. I've been managing a large team of salespeople for the last 10 years here with Shaw Homes. And I mean, we've been a company that's been in business for 35 years. We've become one of the largest builders in the Tulsa area, and that was without Clay. So when I came to know Clay, I really thought, man, there's not much more I need to know, but I'm willing to listen. The interesting thing is our internet leads from our website has actually, in a 4-month period of time, has gone from somewhere around 10 to 15 leads in a month to 180 internet leads in a month. Just from the few things that he's shown us how to implement that I honestly probably never would have come up with on my own. So I got a lot of good things to say about the system that Clay put in place with us, and it's just been an incredible experience. I am very glad that we met and had the opportunity to work with Clay. So the interaction with the team and with Clay on a weekly basis is honestly very enlightening. One of the things that I love about Clay's perspective on things is that he doesn't come from my industry. He's not somebody who's in the home building industry. I've listened to all the experts in my field. Our company has paid for me to go to seminars, international builder shows, all kinds of places where I've had the opportunity to learn from the experts in my industry. But the thing that I found working with Clay is that he comes from such a broad spectrum of working with so many different types of businesses that he has a perspective that's difficult for me to gain because I get so entrenched in what I do, I'm not paying attention to what other leading industry experts are doing, and Clay really brings that perspective for me. It is very valuable time every week when I get that hour with him. From my perspective, the reason that any business owner who's thinking about hooking up with Thrive needs to definitely consider it is because the results that we've gotten in a very short period of time are honestly monumental. It has really exceeded my wildest expectation of what he might be able to do. I came in skeptical because I'm very pragmatic, and as I've gone through the process over just a few months, I've realized it's probably one of the best moves we've ever made. I think a lot of people probably feel like they don't need a business or marketing consultant because they maybe are a little bit prideful and like to think they know everything. I know that's how I felt coming in. I mean, we're a big company that's definitely one of the largest in town. And so we kind of felt like we knew what we were doing. And I think for a lot of people, they let their ego get in the way of listening to somebody that might have a better or different perspective than theirs. I would just really encourage you, if you're thinking about working with Clay, I mean, the thing is, it's month to month. Go give it a try and see what happens. I think in the 35-year history of Shaw Homes, this is probably the best thing that's happened to us. And I know if you give them a shot, I think you'll feel the same way. I know for me, the thing I would have missed out on if I didn't work with Clay is I would have missed out on literally an 1,800% increase in our internet leads. Going from 10 a month to 180 a month, that would have been a huge financial decision to just decide not to give it a shot. I would absolutely recommend Clay Clark to anybody who's thinking about working with somebody in marketing. I would skip over anybody else you were thinking about, and I would go straight to Clay and his team. I guarantee you're not going to regret it because we sure haven't.
My name is Danielle Sprick, and I am the founder of D Sprick Realty Group here in Tulsa, Oklahoma. After being a stay-at-home mom for 12 years and my 3 kids started school and they were in school full-time, I was at a crossroads and trying to decide what do I want to do? My degree and my background is in education, but after being a mom and staying home and all of that, I just didn't have a passion for it like I once did. My husband suggested real estate. He's a home builder, so real estate and home building go hand in hand, and we just rolled with it. I love people, I love working with people, I love building relationships, but one thing that was really difficult for me was the business side of things. The processes and the advertising and marketing. I knew that I did not have what I needed to make that what it should be. So I reached out to Clay at that time, and he and his team have been extremely instrumental in helping us build our brand, help market our business, our agents, the homes that we represent. Everything that we do is a direct line from Clay and his team and all that they've done for us. We launched our brokerage, our real estate brokerage, 8 months ago. And in that time, we've gone from myself and one other agent to just this week, we signed on our 16th agent. We have been blessed with the fact that we right now have just over 10 million in pending transactions. 3 years ago, I never would have even imagined that I would be in this role that I'm in today, building a business, having 16 agents. But I have to give credit where credit's due, and Clay and his team and the business coaching that they've offered us has been huge. It's been instrumental in what we're doing. Don't ever limit your vision. When you dream big, big things happen.
I started a business because I couldn't work for anyone else. I do things my way. I do what I think is in the best interest of the patient. I don't answer to insurance companies. I don't answer to large corporate organizations. I answer to my patient, and that's it. My thought when I opened my clinic was I can do this all myself. I don't need additional outside help in many ways. I went to medical school. I can figure this out. But it was a very, very steep learning curve. Within the first 6 months of opening my clinic, I had a $63,000 embezzlement. I lost multiple employees. Clay helped us weather the storm of some of the things that are just a lot of people experience, especially in the medical world. He was instrumental in helping with the specific written business plan. He's been instrumental in hiring good quality employees, using the processes that he outlines for getting in good talent, which is extremely difficult. He helped me in securing the business loans. He helped me with web development and search engine optimization. We've been able to really keep a steady stream of clients coming in because they found us on the web. With everything that I encountered, everything that I experienced, I quickly learned it is worth every penny to have someone in your team that can walk you through and even avoid some of the pitfalls that are almost invariable in starting your own business. I'm Dr. Chad Edwards, and I own Revolution Health and Wellness Clinic.